Welcome back, everybody, to another episode here on the Oshay Vlogcast channel, man. And today, we got a doozy of a title in a show. I want to first of all thank all of you people for coming into the show. For those of you watching the replay, we definitely appreciate you. And why the hell am I echoing? Because I have myself on at the same time as I'm talking. Today's show is sponsored by none other than Brian Logan. And tonight we're talking about, is the school to prison pipeline a real thing? And I believe that this is a very important topic. You guys know this is a black male channel. We talk about 95% of black male issues. And there's nobody in America probably more likely to end up in the situation of prison than African-American men or black immigrant men in certain cases, especially with Haitians and some Dominicans and things like that. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce the panel. We'll start from Man of Tomorrow. What's going on with you, Rich Player?
What's up?
What's going on, man? Let everybody know what's up, man. Where you from? Compton. Let everybody know where you from, player.
Denver. Really recently doing a show with Black Male Talk called Black Man's Congregation. We just got done with our second episode a little while ago, and just doing that right now. So
Okay.
That's it.
All right. You probably the most popular non-YouTuber over here in the Black Manosphere, man. Shout out to Man of Tomorrow. Ellie, our movement's not moving. Handicap. What's going on with your pimping?
Just making sure my Wakanda wireless works.
Okay, cool.
Now we'll be here.
Hotep. Good to see you, brother. Glad to see you. And Ghana Dan, okay. Really Nigerian, but what's up with your player?
Off mute, bro.
Oh,
off mute.
Oh, he's on mute. Yeah. The white man is holding his button back.
Hey, good evening, everyone. And just enjoying being at home. Taking a couple of Heineken, so I may get a little slur of speech later on.
Okay, don't let the white man intoxicate you, brother, because he puts that poison in our communities to keep us inebriated, brother. Hotep. And last but not least, Anthony Bully, Brian Logan, man. Shout out to you, because we couldn't really do the show without you, because I think you're probably going to be the only one that stands on this position. Oh, Super Sly. I missed my brother Super Sly. Hold on, I don't want to get beat up. Super Sly, where were you hiding over there in the bushes, player?
Hey, no, we go good. Thank you for having me. I'm just driving down the freeway, looking at all these homeless people, and this shit is it's sad. But
don't roast
I'm
him,
happy to
player.
be here.
Don't roast him, because I know you.
No. It's
the way you did the dead dude that got shot in Toronto on your earlier video. Yeah, he got shot, man, and that's fucked up. Well, I'm out. Peace. I was like, man, they ain't got no empathy or nothing for the. But shout out to Super Sly, the great black shark. And last but not least, definitely not least, shout out to the bully. What's going on with your player?
Everything's good, man. Happy to be here talking about this topic. It needs to get talked about. I keep hearing people on the news media saying all types of things that don't make any sense, and people believe it. So let's put some real information out there on the table and get into it.
All right. Shout out to my brother Exclamatic, man. Let me borrow. You got at least. Well, you got. I don't have no abs, man. So if that's you, let me borrow abs so I can put it on my neck muscle, man, so I can flex for the hoes. Thank you, brother, for the 489 super chat. Appreciate you. Wake the hell up. Good to see you. Let's start with you, Anthony Brian Logan, man, because obviously this is your topic, man. What made you want to go ahead and put this out? The black community is going to assassinate you by throwing honey buns at your windows, but what made you come up with this, man? And why is this? What's the whole meaning of this particular topic?
Well, first of all, both of my grandparents on my father's side, they're both school teachers. So I know a little bit about the education system. My cousin, she just turned 24. She's a teacher in DC. I know a lot of teachers. And then myself, I've been to about 8 different schools in grade school. I've been at a couple of different colleges, different campuses. So I understand the way the education system works. And aside from just my personal experience, family experience, I'm pretty educated about it. I know a little bit about it. And I know what's going on when you're talking about why they go down the wrong path. The school is many times a scapegoat. And I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about, because if we're not addressing the scapegoat, then we're not getting down to the core of the problem. Why do black kids have a hard time in school? Why do we often end up in the penitentiary afterwards? What's going on with that? to blame the school system and to say this whole thing, the school to prison pipeline is really a cop out, and there's an easy way for us to just ignore all of the issues that we have in the household that lead up to kids going to the penitentiary at an early age.
Okay, well, let me. What I want to know is this, because a lot of people in the community, man, they're going to say, well, all right, the community, these dysfunctional homes, that stems from the oppression of blacks by whites within the system of white supremacy. What do you have to say about that?
Ain't no such thing as white supremacy. White supremacy.
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say this.
Say it again.
Ain't no such thing as white supremacy. White supremacy is like Chucky. If you believe in it, then it's real. But that's the only people that believe in it. And then the thing about it, people say that, oh, it's a systemic thing. Well, point to a law in the books that says that black people are going to be held back. Black people are not going to be given education. Where in the law does this thing called white supremacy exist? You could say that somebody may feel like they're a white supremacist, and that's fine, but that's just their personal feeling. I may feel like I'm in an attack helicopter. That doesn't mean that attack helicopters are oppressing people. It doesn't mean anything. Point to an actual law in the books that has this whole thing about white supremacy. And if white supremacy is real, and if it's a real thing in the United States, why is it that Asian Americans on average make more than white Americans? Why does that actually happen? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And another thing, you have all these laws, affirmative action. You have things that benefit people that are not white that are put onto the books by oftentimes white people. So where's the white supremacy? I don't really understand. I think people just use that again as a scapegoat. It's easy to point to white supremacy rather than saying maybe it's something wrong other than what I know about, and I should be able to fix it, but I can't because
who's that?
of what's happening. I'm hearing some background noise. I'm not really sure what's going on. Somebody out there in the field cutting grass.
Yeah, that you rich niggas, man. Tell your servants to calm down. Go ahead, ABL.
But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say, man. Ain't no white supremacy. White supremacy, it's just something that people talk about, and it's an easy way to cop out rather than getting into some intellectual discussion. You just have a blanket statement, white supremacy, and then the conversation ends rather than figuring out what's really going on. You just use the term and blow it off and move on to the next thing.
Woo. Okay. So here we are already. Let me start off. Let me start with somebody a little bit more. I got to go to the great shark because these other brothers tonight are pretty balanced. So let me go to the shark. Great black shark, super slide, man. What you got for that? What you have for what he has to say, brother?
Okay, going back to the Chucky reference, Chucky was real at the end of the day. He showed himself. And he tried to murk everybody.
Chucky was a movie, sir. I'm talking about in real life.
Let him finish. A bully?
Then why would you bring up a fictional movie to make your point?
That's my point.
Yes, if you're gonna use the Chucky analogy, Chucky was real, but that's neither here nor there. White supremacy, in your viewpoint, it is tangible. There are laws on the books that discriminate against a certain type of people that have had their nationality and their titles stripped from them. We can bring up the laws from 1700s, 1800s, nationality laws, clauses. The 14th Amendment's never been rescinded, things of that nature. There's things on the books that can show and prove that there's white supremacy. And I'm using air quotes to this, that, yeah, it does exist. There is an effort to kind of keep a certain class of people at a certain level, social, economically, politically, things of that nature. Now, I'm not saying it's an excuse to not do better as a people, but for you to sit here and say white supremacy does not exist, it's a bit disingenuous. It does exist. It just might not exist and say outright in your face per se, but a lot of it's behind the books. It's on the books. It's backdoor deals, things of that nature. But yeah, it does exist, just not the way that you would like it. Just, if you want a white dude to come up to your face and call you a nigga and slap the shit out you, then if that's what you're looking for. But it does exist to a certain extent.
Okay, so what law exists today that points towards white supremacy being real today, 2018, today, not yesterday, but today? Hello?
You there? Oh, he's muted himself.
Yeah, I can point to a lot of credit laws with the changes they're making now. certain zip codes that belong to poor neighborhoods, urban communities make it harder to get credit cards, loans, things of that nature. That's why zip codes are very important. If you know your zip code laws, that's why certain zip codes generate more money or allow more money as far as loans, credit, things of that nature. Businesses located in certain.
Hold on, Anthony. Hold on. Let him finish. Man, he didn't cut you off. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that's just one aspect of white, and I'm once again air quotes white supremacy. So it's a 8-headed hydra is what you're dealing with. It's not just one form of white supremacy. They got it all covered from military, education, hence to why we even having this discussion today.
But what law are you talking about specifically?
Okay, hold on, AB, hold on. I'm gonna let you get him. Before you make it a 2
You're
on 2.
looking for a law. You want me to point you a law that says black folks can't have this, black folks can't have that. That's what you're basically saying.
I mean,
so,
my question was,
that's what you want.
That's what you want. That was the question.
That's what you're looking for. There's no smoking gun like that. There's no laws in the book saying black folks can't do this, black folks can't do that. But they have laws that say if you live here, if you generate this type of income, if you identify yourself as such, then yes, there's certain laws that will hinder you from moving forward and advancing.
Okay, but is that white supremacy? Because you got a lot of white people that fit into the poverty category that will also be privy to those. They'll also be under those laws. So how can it be considered white supremacy?
Okay, so let's take the prison pipeline. So let's bring up the 3 strikes law. Who did that mainly affect? Whites or blacks?
You said say it one more time now?
The funny thing is, since we're talking prison pipeline, then you got to bring up the 3 strikes law. The 3 strikes law started because a white dude killed a white girl. But for some odd reason, it ended up affecting more black people than anybody else. Now, what would you call that? Is that not white supremacy to a certain extent?
Nah, because you just said it right there. It was because it was a white guy that did something bad. So it doesn't make any sense.
So a law that was generated because of a white criminal somehow disproportionately affects more black males than anybody else, right? That's not white supremacy to a certain extent?
Nah, because it's us that's choosing to do it. We know what the laws are. You go out there and choose to do it. It ain't like it's a white man saying, oh, you have to go out here and commit 3 felonies and then get locked up for the rest of your life.
Okay, so now if a black man feels that his economic choices are limited because of his environment and whatever laws in place federally, then if he's prompted or pushed to commit a crimes and thus being treated harsher for crimes as opposed to his white counterparts, then you have to bring that up. You have to mention it to a certain extent.
At the end of the day, if you out here committing crime and you get caught 3 times on a felony, that's your fault. You can't say it was white supremacy.
Okay,
it's your fault, period.
So now the first brother that was struck out on the 3 strikes law, he was a black man. And you know why? Because he stole a piece of pizza. Your 3rd strike is supposed to be no, hear me out. Your 3rd strike is supposed to be for a violent offense, not a non-violent offense. Yet 80% of your 3rd strikers are doing 25 to life for non-violent offenses. They just happen to be more black males than anybody else.
That's too bad. Don't commit crime.
Hold on a second. Let me do this real quick. There was a pretty good point at the end. So I thought he had you, but you kind of got up out of that chokehold, player. Let me do this. The good doctor is here, Dr. Kenya Meadows, MD. Let me go to my brother, Man of Tomorrow, millionaire Man of Tomorrow. Man, he owe me $5, man, in pennies. Brother MOT, what do you feel about the exchange we have here, Brother Hotel? The white man must have got his foot on his neck too. Hold on.
You can't.
Brother, the white man, is he oppressing your volume, brother?
Yep, he was temporarily. Sorry.
Okay. You know how these white people are,
my own hands. Sorry.
Hotel.
All right, okay. I grew up in the Mississippi Delta. So do you think that somebody who grew up in the Mississippi Delta would have the same opportunity as somebody in Denver, Colorado? Even though I lived in both places.
Who you asking that question to,
It is a yes or no question.
Me? I would say no.
Anthony Brown Logan.
Nah, not at all.
He left. No, he's there. I see him.
Did you hear me? I said no, not at all.
Okay. So if you can tell based on region that there isn't people who would have the same basis and opportunity, why would you think within skin color, within those same places, that they would have the same opportunity? Why would you?
I don't understand. I don't understand the question. I'm kind of.
No, you do understand it. So-
I'm not a genius. I just don't understand the question. So what's like? Can you say that one more time for me, please?
Okay. All right. Well, let me preface my answer with the following statement. Upton Sinclair. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on them not understanding it. You actually know that based on where you're born, your social economic class depends on what access to legal representation that you get and everything else. And most of this stuff is not really based on what you're talking about. So you do realize that there was a difference between how black people are treated now or black people were treated during Jim Crow. Do you understand that?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. What people do you think were in charge of the court system during the Jim Crow era versus right now?
Mostly
Were they
white.
Democratic liberals or were they Democratic conservatives?
I don't know exactly what their political
Yes,
ideology.
you do. You fucking do understand this.
I mean, nah.
No,
You're
not gonna
come
weasel
on.
your
Like,
way out
how
of
you
this
gonna
shit.
ask me questions and then say that? Like, how you gonna ask me questions then you answer it? Don't make no sense.
Okay, listen.
Like, let me answer the
listen.
question that you asked me. How about that?
Okay.
Now, I don't know. I don't
If
know
people
everybody's
from the
political
South never
affiliation.
moved within 150 years and they still control the court system as they do back in the day, would you say our court system is liberal democratic or conservative?
The court system in the United States overall.
Yes.
I guess it depends on where you at, what state you're in. If you're in California, it's gonna be more liberal, but if you're in like Tennessee, it's gonna be more conservative.
Okay. The Dred Scott decision. Do you think that was a liberal democratic decision or a conservative Christian
I don't know.
decision? Yes, you do.
Man, look, man, like get to the
You
point.
do.
You
Dude,
asking
it's
me these
history.
questions. I don't
You
know the
deny
answer to all the
history.
questions. Just
You
get
have
to
to
the point.
deny history to make your points.
Just move
That's
forward to
my
the point. Just move forward to the
Yeah,
point.
the point is you have to deny history to make every single one of your points. Every single
Like,
one of your
what
points is
point
based on
am
the
I making?
presupposition. Hold on.
What point, sir?
I'm gonna
What
finish.
point am I making?
Trust me. I'm going to. The point is you want to disregard every bit of white Christian conservative Southern Baptist history in order to make all your points. That's
point?
how you get to make your points.
What points am I
dude,
making, sir?
Our system is not. When you say there's no such thing as white supremacy was a Southern conservative Dixiecrat construct that
Conservative
goes
Dixiecrat.
through.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't think that Democrats from the South were called Dixiecrats? Google it.
I didn't say they
I'll
weren't.
wait.
I didn't say they weren't. I'm just saying okay.
Okay. Do
Man,
you know
like,
what
for
the
real,
Southern?
you need to get to the point because you're not making any sense right now.
No. I'm not making any sense to somebody who don't have the position or point of view as you. Everybody else understands exactly what I'm saying.
You don't know that.
Who's
You're just
not-
making. You're just saying. You're just talking right now. I think you need to get to the point and let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Upton Sinclair. The quote is not hard to difficult to look up. The point is, your point of view is based on the presupposition that white supremacy does not exist, that we all exist and within the same place everywhere in the country, and that everybody has the same opportunity to do everything else. And I'm telling you that is 100% totally not the case, and you know that.
Nah,
I
I
yield my
mean,
time.
you're making a bunch of
Somebody else
assumptions
talk.
and you're wrong. I'm gonna tell you something because you talked about
Okay,
if
go
you
ahead.
live in if you live in Mississippi Delta versus Denver, Colorado, the opportunity would not be the same because of your geographic location. I mean, what industry is in the Delta versus Denver, Colorado? I mean, it's just like if you live in New York City versus the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. Obviously, New York City will have more opportunity because of the money that's flowing through that city. It's more economic activity happening in that particular region versus in the middle of nowhere. What industry is going to be in the middle of nowhere? What opportunity is going to be in the middle of nowhere? See, I was born in a place called Rand, West Virginia, one of the poorest places in the Union. Okay, you can look it up right now. There was a documentary about it
Versus
called
the
Rand
Mississippi
University.
Delta?
Huh? It's right up there.
Versus
Yes,
the
I mean,
Mississippi Delta?
look it up. Look it up. I don't have to prove it. You
Okay.
can look it up.
Okay.
There was a documentary about it
Okay.
called Rand University. It's very poor. Anyway, we were born there, but when I was a small child, my parents moved away and went to a place where there was more economic opportunity. Okay, you have the ability to move, and we came from no money at all. So people keep making excuses about, oh, okay, I'm here, I can't do anything. Just like you left that area and went to Colorado where you're able to make more money. So that's how you fix that. Now,
because of the United States military.
You said what?
Because of the United States military. Because of the United States military. Other than that,
okay, so you're on the military. Okay, yeah. Boom, you're on the military. That's what a lot of people do. They make choices in their life that make their life go in a more positive direction. The same way you can make a choice about going to the penitentiary, committing crime, or whatever. You can do things in your life that will help you to be able to go forward. The same thing with parents and their children. Hopefully we get to that in this discussion, which should be about the school to prison pipeline. Parents and their children also make choices, or they make choices for their children. And then once their kids begin to become older, they make choices on their own, which helps to shape their life. So all these excuses about the past and all these, that's really something that I'm not even really trying to hear. Let's figure out how we can go forward in a positive way.
Okay, and let me do this.
We need to talk about their history, though.
Well, we'll talk about this, but let me let some of the other.
Because I'm not just gonna let you yada that shit, though.
I'm gonna let y'all kill each other. Don't worry about nothing. We got a lot of time. Let me go to LAR movement. Then we go to the good doctor. LAR, what's your take on the school to prison pipeline thing, brother? Is it a real thing or what's going on here?
No.
If it works out in the worst way, it can be a real thing. I think there's always been biases in schools from teachers to students. You know, you can go that from teachers are more biased towards girls than boys. That's why the boys have a worse time in schools than girls. You do it racially, then it's going to wind up being black boys are targeted the most for getting treated worse. Same thing as far as discipline is concerned. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to add the family part, that's a part too, because to be perfectly honest, you got parents who back in the day, they used to, you know, take that ADD stuff to get checks for their kids. And you kind of put these kids in special ed, which would put them on a downward path. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the thing about it is it's true to a degree, because if you look at teachers in general, and just like they used to say about us as black men when we were black boys, and now black boys are looked at as older than they actually are, more aggressive than they actually are. So we're treated in an unfair manner. So we're going to get consequences everybody else isn't going to get, you know? And most black men who are black boys in schools know that you can get teased from your classmates for being too smart, but your teacher probably won't mess with you either if you raise your hand and ask a question. You know, they didn't want to see you smart either. So it creates a whole clusterfuck that if it goes bad, you're going to wind up taking your ass to jail because you're going to not want to go to school or not be in school, or, you know, just wind up going towards the street. So that's just my ideology on that.
Okay. Shout out to LAR, the good Reverend Dr. Meadows in the building.
Yeah, can I chime in for it? I'm doing well. How's the panel doing? I'm sorry I'm late, but I wanted to chime in if I could on that last exchange with ABL, with the notion that geography and changing geography can change your economic opportunity. That's a true statement, but to take that to its logical conclusion, what you were saying, are you saying that alone can overcome what we all believe is, you know, racial inequality in terms of job and economic opportunity? You saying that can be totally overcome with geography?
Racial inequality, in my humble opinion, is a thing that exists in people's minds. It's not really something that you have racial inequality on paper, but it's not a thing that is actually legislated. There's no law that has that happen. So I don't really buy into that whole thing. Moving will help you economically in your situation. If you're living in an area where it's not a lot of activity going on, you can go to a place where there is more activity going on economically.
So what about the fact that, I mean, ever since we've been keeping unemployment statistics, the unemployment statistics for black people, and specifically black men, is always persistently been double that of whites. I mean, no matter what the economic conditions are, you know, in a good economy, bad economy, that gap just doesn't narrow. I mean, would you say that we can overcome that by moving to where there's more opportunity? I mean,
nah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you can find better opportunity in a place that has more economic activity than a place that doesn't. Now, the reason why you have double the unemployment rate of whites is because of a lot of other things. You got a lot of personal decisions. I mean, let's look at the most obvious thing is a single parent household rate. I mean, if you're coming from a single parent household, obviously you have one parent, they're going to have less of an ability to make a living. So you're going to have less money in the house. If you're coming from a place where you get two parents to have possibly two parents working, or one parent working while the other is being able to take care of the children, you have a better opportunity to raise that child to go out there and make more money. And then there's a lot of different things as far as education is concerned. We'll talk about that. I guess I could talk about it right now since anybody brought it up. School to prison pipeline. I was talking to my father about this recently, and he was saying that a lot of black kids, they go to school with no education. And what I mean is when they go to kindergarten, pre-K, or whatever, they're a blank slate. They can't tie their shoes. They can't write their own name. They can't color. They can't count to 10. They can't do anything. Meanwhile, the white kid may have his mom at home. His dad is in the military or something. She's giving them flashcards. She's teaching them certain things you need to have before you go to school. That gives them a head start. He can count to 10, maybe even 100. He can do basic addition and subtraction. He can write his own name. He can color within the lines. He can tie his own shoes. He can do things that the black kid can't, because the black kid has not had any time spent with him. So already they're at a disadvantage. And then the Asian kids, we don't even talk about that. We always say that the black unemployment is double that of whites, but we don't say that it's double or more than Asians, because Asians have a higher employment rate than whites. We always talk about whites as like the standard, but we don't look at those who have the actual most money. And then once you get into like subcultures, you got Jews and stuff like that on top of the Asians. But that's a different story. You got to look at what they do in their households to prepare these kids. And what you do in the household to prepare them before they go to school is going to carry on all throughout their lives. So that is a part of the reason why we have a very high unemployment rate, low skills, low education, just not really being prepared for the world.
Okay. What are you gonna say about that, Doc?
Well, I hear him. I hear him in terms of the pre-K preparation and that kind of thing. To go back to that larger point though about, say for instance, unemployment rate and everything. I mean, when you see something that's persistent and consistent for so long, I mean, it just seems like ABL is just kind of ignoring the systemic part of things, and everything is kind of on the personal level of what's going on in that individual household. And I'm not the kind of person, you know, grace of God, good parents, I've been able to achieve a lot in my life. But I don't make any, I don't want to say it. I don't have any illusions though, that there are folks, black folks that don't get the same amount of opportunities. And it is due to some systemic problems kind of layered on top of maybe what might be poor personal decisions. You know, I'm not excusing that, but at the same token, I don't think we can brush off what I feel is pretty clear systematic discrimination on things like educational opportunities, you know, jobs, you know, you name it, the whole gambit. So that's just a disconnect. And I think ABL, you know, I think I can speak probably for most of the panel in that we don't connect with that sort of strictly personal narrative or decisions being made on the individual household level kind of explain everything.
But okay, if it's systemic, then what are, like, you got to be able to point to the systemic things, like what laws in the book have us in a situation that we're in right now. What are the systemic problems that we face?
Well, you know, when it comes to say something like employment, right? It's not so much like a law in the book, right? But you know, 80% or so of jobs, employment opportunities, they come through like your social network, right? And so if the dominant society has most of the wealth, jobs, business ownership, and everything. I mean, to a certain degree, right? You're going to expect them to hire more people that are in their social network, and that's going to kind of naturally lead to the exclusion of a lot of Black folks. And that was one of the arguments behind things like affirmative action and having a certain amount of, Black folks being hired, Black folks being admitted to school, that kind of thing. It was kind of a crude kind of thing, a quota thing, but at least it provided for some representation, because if you let things kind of go naturally, I mean, of course, the people that are already in charge, they're going to just naturally kind of surround themselves with people they kind of already know or come through their social channels. So, I mean, that's something that, again, we need help to overcome that, kind of regardless of our decision making. You know what I mean? On an individual level.
Okay, so why do Asians make more than whites, though? Because if the dominant society are the ones, they are hiring mostly their own people, and that's why they're able to have such a high employment rate. Why are Asians per capita making more than whites here in the United States? And then another question I got to ask, are Black people incapable of making our own employment opportunities for ourselves? I mean, I've been in business for a long time. I've been in business for myself for a long time. I did 10 years doing graphic design, have been 80% Black clients all over the world. And a lot of my people that I would have as vendors to do certain things, print, ship, or whatever, were also Black. We create like a network of ourselves, employing ourselves and also servicing ourselves. So why can't we service each other? Why is it got to be we got to look to the white people for a job? And why do Asians make more than whites?
Well, can I ask one real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
One, I do agree with you, ABL. Most Asians have their community has a lot of businesses to hire their own people. But the high income people you talking about, aren't they employed by white people who are richer than them?
Well, I don't know who they're employed by, but my point was, if they are employed by whites, then how did they make more than whites if whites?
You said per capita.
Because the point I was responding to was my man, where he said that the dominant society generally hire each other. If that's the case, then why do Asians make more? If whites have most of the jobs in America and they mostly hire each other, how is it that Asians have a higher per capita income than whites? It doesn't make any sense.
But when you say Asians, for one, those Asians are hired by white people who are rich. But the other thing about which Asians are you talking about? Are you talking about Chinese, Chinese or Japanese or Korean or Indian? Because everybody they're not like us as a group of people where you could just say Black people in America and it's one wide swath of people. When you say Asians, you're talking about multiple different groups.
And I would say too, ABL, like when it comes to like Chinese folks, right? And we know they have a very high rate of business ownership. So that's going to contribute to a higher than normal per capita income if you just sort of lump it all as Asians. And then if you throw Indians in there and those folks, we know they're overrepresented in like high paying tech and those kind of jobs and that kind of thing. So, that's going to skew the per capita income for that Pan-Asian group is pretty high. I think those two factors contribute.
Okay,
now,
so
I agree with you totally though. Black, we definitely need more businesses and things of that nature in our community. There's no two ways about that.
So yeah, my point is that the Asians don't come over here and cry victim. They come over here and get stuff done. I mean, the people from the Indian subcontinent, they were controlled by the British up until the 1950s. And they had a bloody partition where you had Pakistan and India created out of the former British colony. But they don't come over here and cry about the white man and all this and that. They come over here and make more money than white people themselves. So to me, it doesn't really make any sense when we say that the reason why Blacks are at the bottom of the totem pole economically is because we're looking towards whites to hire us, and they generally hire each other. It doesn't make any sense when you see Asians on top of them as far as the per capita income. It just logically don't make no sense.
Let me jump in on this real quick. ABL, I think it's a bad example because I think the Biafra War in Nigeria is going to be the same example that we see with India and Pakistan. Here you have the British coming into India, establishing all of the school systems and things like that. And who are the people who can leave India and Pakistan? They're the same people who left South Nigeria in the Biafra War, who were the most brightest and most intelligent of those Nigerians who ended up in America, and by the way, who are doing the best in America out of any immigrant. the Nigerian class, right? So what you're using is the same argument as it would almost just be like taking the best of African Americans to Africa, which would be like Liberia all over again. It's a bad argument. What you're using is the top people who can come from India or Pakistan, those who can come to America, of course they're not going to acquire white supremacy. These are the most talented people who can leave.
Okay, so basically
you're talking about Nigeria. You can't. Yes, it's a bad argument.
Okay, so basically you're saying that they are successful because of their individual talent and skill, correct?
What I'm saying is, I'm saying is those people already were intelligent and had skill before they came to the country, because the United States wouldn't just take people who are, in all things being equal. When you take immigrants,
I have a better way to explain this.
Hold on, let me finish, man, Tyrell. The people who could go are already people who are already at the top of the top tiers of those places. Same thing in Nigeria, same thing in all those world wars. The people who are coming to America are people who are already doing very well.
So you're proving my point.
It's very hard to compare those to black people, black Americans.
So basically, you're making my point for me. So I thank you for that.
I'm not making your point. What you're making the point is saying that these people will be crying white supremacy too, as if that's not the case. Those people in India or Nigeria, the British set up all the school systems and shit for them. You can say they oppressed them, sure, but when you want to compare African Americans who had to start their own schools, Tuskegee, many times in school and church basements, the University of Lagos and the University of Bombay, all of those were state independent, state-funded educational institutes by the British that were brought by British people to come in and teach. Yeah, they benefited from all of that infrastructure that Britain brought to them. So, of course, when they come to a new place, they're already talented and have things. Why would they complain? The Nigerians don't complain because these people benefit from that infrastructure. You can't compare those to black Americans who've been there all the time.
You're making my point for me. Because my point is, hold on, before you get started, y'all, my point is this. They are talented and skilled, which is why they make more money. That's very simple. Now, we have to get ourselves talented and skilled. We have the resources to be able to do it. Unfortunately, we're not going about things the correct way. When you have a 73% single parent household rate in the black community, how are you going to create a next generation of men and women that are going to be talented and successful? Compare that to the Indians and Nigerians, the talented and successful people. They pass on that same type of work mindset to their children. So you got third generation Indian Americans who are still doing very well, who are still successful because they have that work ethic from their parents and also the God-given intelligence. That's the point. We need to just take a page out of their books. We could become successful rather than trying to come up with excuses as to why we're not successful. I'll leave it at that.
Here's the thing.
Any privileged group, though, and that's the same with black America. If we take in India, for the most part, Donald Trump would probably consider it, if he said that, shithole. Same thing with Nigeria. If you take the top percentage of us as African Americans and you drop us anywhere over there, we're running shit in a few years. Put Dr. Kenya Meadows, people like you, me, in any Liberia. Hey, we're the top 5% of people to Ghana Dan. We're the top 5% people there, based off our skill.
I mean, I'm not saying that.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying anything about Nigerians are better than African Americans or Indians are better than African Americans. All I'm saying is that these people are not victims of any kind of thing over here because they're talented and they're skilled. That is all that matters. That's the bottom line.
Here's the thing. When you say Pakistani, people who left Pakistan are hardworking and talented, right?
Well, I'm just going by the numbers.
Okay.
Like, they make more, right?
Okay. Ironically, the same people who left Pakistan went to Britain too, and how are they in Britain?
Wait, in Pakistan, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to say that. You're missing my point. You're missing my point. I'm trying
to say something here, AB. I'm telling you, like, if you got one group of people that leaves their home and they go one place and they're successful, is because the government where they went helped them. And they go one place where they're unsuccessful, is because the government that they went to there hurt them. They're the same people. So if the Pakistanis are so talented and smart here, they should be as talented and smart in Britain. But in Britain, they're looked at it as the bottom of they're basically in the position we are here.
I mean, at the end of the day, the mayor,
Poland outside.
Who's the mayor of London?
He's a Pakistani guy, but this is one person though.
Sadiq Khan. I mean, I'm just saying.
He's the Obama of London now?
we're getting into a different conversation. I'm not trying to say that Pakistanis are coming over here and they're just better. No, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that their race is irrelevant. The overall point I'm making is that you have skilled and talented people who make more money. It's all about what you're able to bring to the table, how you're able to contribute to society. The white supremacy racial thing is a thing of the past. And today, 2018, it's all about what you're able to bring to the table, your level of skill, your level of education. All these excuses about white man this, white man that is really just an old school talking point that doesn't matter anymore. It's all about what you're able to bring to the table. And if we're not raising our children properly, if we're not giving them the opportunity to succeed in America, then that's our fault. We can't be blaming the white man for any of that.
Let me just say this real quick. I'm gonna go to MOT and then back to Kenya Superfly. Here's what you're saying. Any group that benefits, like let's just say Indians or Pakistanians who all were benefited by the British and their infrastructure, the top people that came over here.
Pakistanis,
right?
Pakistani,
whatever you want to call them. They come over after their war. You know, they've been in the country for 60, 70 years. They can perform well. You're talking about a group of blacks who have been pushed out, okay, for many, many years, and they're still recovering from that. That's why people say it will take blacks like what 200 and something years to catch up to white wealth. Something that's a statistic that's out there. Right?
If we're recovering, why are we getting worse?
Let me finish. So when you look at the circumstances, if all things are being equal, these people who are coming from these other countries, had they gone through the same experiences that African Americans have went through, all things being equal, the same systemic oppressions that, you know, be labor in the forms of Jim Crow, which still affect blacks today because, you know, still from that oppression and racism and all the wealth that was stolen from us, blacks are, we definitely hurt our own causes. But to Dr. Meadows' point, we cannot deny that white racism has put blacks, and not even in America, all over the world, but since it's kind of about America, it has hurt us. But when these other groups have not experienced those same things, and then you want to compare those two groups automatically all the same time, and sometimes I make that mistake, but I gotta say that if the two cohort or two groups have been under similar circumstances for the same things in the same areas, and then all of a sudden this group does better than the other group, then we can compare them. It makes sense to compare them.
I'm not comparing groups.
I'm
not comparing groups. I am not comparing groups.
Groups have not experienced the same things. They don't have the same advantages or anything. They don't. So, and because they don't, it's hard for to say, oh, well, this group is whatever. And let me go to MOT because I don't want to hold up the panel, but go ahead, man of tomorrow.
Stupid to compare people.
Man of tomorrow. Hello.
Right. When I went to Minot, North Dakota, when I was in the military, black people doesn't make up that big of a portion of the entire state. The only reason why we made up the portion of the entire state is because we was in the military. Okay? You can't compare the best of the best who's within a market to everybody else who's in the market. You understand the difference between the dream team going to each one of these countries, kicking the shit out of all those people back in the 90s, and the people who are black, who are within those same communities, who could not even step on the court with those people. Now, your presuppositional argument, which what it is that everybody is the same no matter where they come from, and that the history should not be held accountable against those people.
I didn't say that.
We're going
not at all.
to
I don't believe that.
Divide that history.
I don't believe that.
The best of those people.
I don't believe that everybody's the same.
No, that's your inference.
No, I'm telling you right now that I do not believe that. So let's move on from there.
I do believe that's also
you have to reverse the. Okay, so you have to reverse the rest.
Go ahead.
I mean, but that is your point. You don't understand that that's your point.
You, it's not
Every
my
time
point.
I get to the point of letting you know that is your point, you back away from it immediately.
It's not my point. I didn't say anything about people being. I said, look, y'all. I don't understand. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who understands the point I'm making.
It is.
I'm saying that you have certain people. You have certain people who are more skilled, more talented than others. So if I'm saying that, then how can I say that we're all the same? That does not make any sense.
But here's the thing, though. Let me ask you a question, then, ABL, not for you, but
this is your point that you're dividing between yourself.
Come on, man. You guys just
But
don't.
what I want to know is we don't want to ask why are those people talented? I mean, like that's the question,
Okay,
though. You know what I mean? I believe like the question is why are they more talented? And it seems like that's something that you don't want to talk about.
I've been talking about it. Y'all not listening. Like
How? Okay, hold on, wait, ABL, hold on. I know this is your topic, but let me get the two other people. Let's Man tomorrow make his point. I cannot believe that Big J Triple X dropped a donation in here, and I will ask him that question. But let's go ahead. Go ahead, finish your point, Man tomorrow. That we're gonna go to Super Slide because ABL. He'll keep the ball in this court all day long, man. He don't care nothing about other people. He don't like sharing. He might be your conservative. We got a lot of nigga in him, so we have to really help him share the mic. Okay, go ahead, man. Tomorrow, make your point. We go to Super Slide. MOT, you still here?
No, I'm just saying that this is his point, and it's very typical of Dinesh D'Souza type conservatives. As soon as you get to their about 30 different things are wrong, you only have a chance to respond to things that's 2 or 3. You come anywhere close to rebutting one of his like he don't understand the words that he said 5 fucking minutes ago, man. He know exactly what his points are.
I understand what that said, but you don't.
What he's saying.
You just don't understand.
Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. Let's not make it an ABL and MOT show. Okay, hold on.
That's the difference. That's it.
Let me get to let me hold on. Is Ghana Dan still there? Ghana Dan? Because you know King the Meadows only got like 5 minutes to be on these shows. Ghana Dan, what's going on, player? He got time budgeted, player. You know he's a doctor, so he's on time management system. Go ahead, Ghana Dan. What's going on, player?
Hey, can y'all hear me clearly?
Yeah, man. The white man had his foot on your neck, brother. I understand. Hotel.
Yeah. A lot of brilliant points brought up. Back to the school to prison pipeline. It's a lot of historical record. A lot of stuff is historical record, but a lot of this shit started after desegregation and our black economy got gutted, and then when a lot of our women, for whatever reason, chose state assistance, they got the man out of the house, and then once then redlining started kicking in, because that's one thing I haven't heard, maybe because I was fighting with Google trying to get my shit up, but redlining directly affects the school system. If there's no money in the school, that affects the type of education you get. And I don't care, this is during the time where we had black mayors everywhere, but the main constituents was living in poverty because they couldn't even get loans to reinvest in their houses, which a lot of the white, when it comes back to ABL's point, a lot of people were able to get skills because the schools in which they attended were able to offer those skill sets because they was getting tax dollars directly from property tax. But when you don't have property tax, that minimizes your ability to get skills to basic reading, math, and things of that nature. Now, there's no getting around the culture of these young men and women when they're children. When they matriculate through school, if they don't have a support system from the community and especially at home, they damned on both sides. They're not getting the tax dollars reinvested in the school systems. And then when they do learn a little something, they go back to a contentious, toxic environment, completely out of balance. Mama having to work several jobs, the child is getting nothing from the school because there's no tax dollars flowing through the school system, and they being babysat through television. And then if anybody understand, I've said this on a couple of shows, you got to look at the rat utopia or the mice utopia experience, where they did a study on rats. When you have a bunch of people with limited resources, they're going to eat on each other. They're going to feast on each other, and it's going to create, the after effect. You're going to find yourself in some form of incarceration via financially. You didn't got in school debt because you didn't have the school. You didn't have the proper tools to know what careers to go into, or you're going to find yourself in child support, which is going to always damn near land you in jail 80% of the time, no matter how good of a father you are, or it's going to land you in some kind of skid row situation where you find yourself going through the criminal system multiple times. So it's so many things that have to be addressed. This thing is bigger than the one-dimensional approach. Yes, I hear what ABL is saying, but a lot of what he's saying is one-dimensional. It's so many layers that goes unseen. But it goes back to me, from what little I know. It goes back to desegregation a mass of black men losing their jobs because we used to hire each other. We had each other's back, you know, to, you know, we losing our position in manhood and community. Then the redlining came in, which was probably right around the same time. The lack of tax dollars went into the school. Then when you have nothing to pass on to your children, on top of the children not getting any kind of education, and on top of your parents, you know, in the early 70s, we had 75% marriage rate. Now we probably in the 20s, lower 20s. So it's so many layers to this thing. And, you know, we have to, yes, we're going back and forth with ABL, but there's layers upon layers upon layers to this masterful creation. I don't want to hide behind white supremacy, but it played its part in setting the foundation for the fuck up that we see today.
Okay. Let me do this real quick. Let me okay, there's some people that's basically, thank you everybody for coming on the panel. We're gonna go to my man Super Slide, but let me shout out to some people. There's a particular woman that wants to get on the panel. Baby, I have to tell you something. You got the wrong night. Sundays are for the black men, okay? Black male panel. So sorry for the sexism. It's all ABL's fault. He's a conservative. This is his idea. So we just doing what
return to the kitchen.
Wow.
I'm joking. No joking. Don't nobody get upset.
Yeah, no. That's something that Donald Trump would say. Okay, let me do this. Shout out to my man for everybody, man, that's just supporting. Here is something answering my question. Okay, hold on a second. Let me go to because Falcon Black, thank you so much, brother. $2, 2 British pounds. I'm sorry, I almost said $2, man, because that's $2.66 player. Ryan Brown, thank you. I'm a Z, thank you. Shout out to Dr. Deacon Eric P. Passing along the offering plate for the good Reverend O'Shea. Donate a like for the cause, brother. It's free, by the way. I haven't forgotten about the moderator poll. I got it all month. We're gonna keep it all until end of July. End of July for the moderators. Gary Grant. Here is something. Answer my question. Negro, what was your damn question? Thank you for your $5 Canadian though. I'm gonna get a stripper with it. Plastic player. Plastic. D Will 2476. Thank you, $2. Thank you, player. Marcus A. Brown. Salute to the channel. You had a 19-hour hangout, brother. I was talking bad about you in your 32-hour hangouts, man. You trying to get BGS? No, shout out to you, brother. Keep doing the good work. Doug, I service 12 public schools, white schools. The parents are involved with the schools. In black schools, the parents are less involved. Woo! We'll talk about that also. We got to talk about it. Hey, you got a point, man. I'm a Z. O'Shea, the brother need to check out Jane Elliott Blue-Eyed Experiment on YouTube. This is truth about the topic from an old white teacher. So this is for you, ABL. Have you checked this out?
I didn't hear what you just said. So what now?
O'Shea, the brother need to check out Jane Elliott Blue-Eyed Experiment on YouTube. This is truth about this. There's truth about the topic from an old white teacher. Okay, so make sure you check that out, ABL. Don't be, watching Donald Trump reruns. Watch this video first. Big J XXX, the biggest critical person of the manosphere, and he donated $10. I'm surprised, man. Is that really him? O'Shea asks ABL why in red states $6,000 is spent on education per student opposed to $35,000 per inmate. Why is that, ABL?
Well, first of all, the $35,000, that's an average. And when you're talking about a penitentiary, you have many more expenses that go into taking care of a person in jail versus a child. I mean, the kids in that at the penitentiary sleeping, they don't have to get medical care. They don't have to get all these different things that is required. They don't have to have guards watching them 24/7. They don't have to have this very expensive facility. And when you say the cost per inmate, you're looking at the total expenditures of a prison. There's a lot of things that go into a penitentiary. You got all kind of government regulations, and also the amount of money spent per pupil in school does not necessarily dictate a positive outcome. Detroit spends $14,000 per student, yet I would say the majority of their students that graduate cannot read. They're illiterate. So, and I think they spend one of the top 10 most per pupil in the country, yet their kids can't read. It don't take that much money to tell a kid how to say C-spot run.
Okay. I'll buy that. Let me also, thank you, brother. Howard Cooper, ABL, stay catching L's. LOL. Lafayette
Never.
the Great, start putting Pick JXXX on the panel. Hey man, Big JXX, I'm not opposed to putting him on the panel, man. Shout out to you, brother. Let's go to brother Super Slime. Super Slime, man. What do you got to say? And we're gonna go to Doc real quick, man, and then we go back to LAR. What you got to say, Super Slime?
So getting back to ABL's point about the prison expenses, you do understand the prison expenses are offset by its leasing out of cheap labor, cheap or free labor, because that's why they got prisoners doing everybody's job at this point. And you do understand that the private industry, private prison complex have laws in place where they can sue the states for not having enough inmates in their prisons. Okay. Also, there was a story.
Occupancy requirements.
Exactly.
That's relevant. That was relevant.
Very
Hold on. Let them finish, ABL. Let them finish, man. Be nice, bro. You supposed to be a conservative. Stop getting all that Negro juice, man. You acting like you on Martin Luther King Boulevard, player. Stop stealing people Wi-Fi. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can buy stock in the prison industrial complex. It's open. You can buy stock, and they're on the stock market right now. So the expenses that you're minimizing. They make a ton of money. They make a killing. A lot of your celebrities and entertainers have stock in prisons, in the prison complex. That's not relevant. It's very relevant. They're helping fund. Okay, moving on. The Asians. So when we talk about Asians, let's talk about the Hmongs and the Laotians in the 80s when they were jumping on airplanes to come over here begging for asylum. The government helped them out, and you can see why the Hmongs out here are kind of kicking butt, the Hmongs and the Laotians. There's not one immigrant group that has not benefited from government assistance. Not one. They've all had help. The flip side to that is, for some odd reason, the government assistance affects us in a negative way. It's weird, but I think people kind of overlook. You think that they come over here and they do us on their own. They got help. They get help from us. I mean, hell, the government let the Germans come over here after World War II, Operation Paperclip, and let the Jews come over here, and now all of a sudden the U.S. is an industrial complex military machine. That's my point, man. I'm flustered right now because this dude is just so dismissive of his own people, and I get it. Yeah, we black folk. Every time summer comes out, black folk get happy that the kids go back to school. I get it. Black kids, I should not be looking at videos of black kids beating up on teachers. I get it. But we weren't always like this. You act like we've been like this for hundreds of years. Like the doctor said, once the civil rights kicked in and the desegregation took place, that's when everything went left for us. So don't quit act like we've been like this. We've been this fucked up for this amount of time. And that a lot of that is systemic. It's not just we just woke up one day as a people and said, you know what the hell with it? We're just going to be degenerates and we're just going to be just retards for the next 40, 50 years. A lot of it is systemic. A lot of it's laws, socioeconomic, political. There's enough evidence for you to point to and not just always constantly pointing the finger on black folk itself. Now we had help in this in our destruction as well too.
70%.
Okay. Let me do this. Let me go. Who's that? Who's talking? I'm sorry. Who's that?
Ghana Dan. 70% of affirmative action with white women. Most people don't realize that. So the so-called government set-asides and help that was supposed to be for us, white women benefited from that. 70%.
Okay. Let me go to the good doctor, man, because he's on the time limit. Hotep.
Hey, well, I'm enjoying the conversation a lot.
I know you look at the clock, brother. I know.
No, it's all good. Well, I appreciate Ghana Dan's last points. I mean, I think he sort of appropriately addressed all the different layers to this, the systemic stuff, things like the red line and the effect of desegregation and all that. I mean, there's like I said, it's so many layers. And ABL, I mean, I respect where you're coming from, man, but at the same token, man, it's so reductionist to put this down to always go to the first line of personal responsibility, and personal behavior of black folks when the scales have been so the slide has been greased, as I would say, for us to be at the bottom. You know what I mean? Not to say that we can't come out of it, but just to go back to that point about the whole immigrant situation and why are they able to do so much better than us and everything? Again, you said like a Nigerian, right? So mm-hmm. the median household wealth in this country for a black person, we all listen to Tone Talks and Yvette Carnell and everything. We know that 1,700 figure, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Tone Talks broke it down and said the median wealth of a black person in Los Angeles is like $400, but the median wealth of a Nigerian in Los Angeles is like $85,000, which ain't that much different than a white person. So, like ABL, would you say that's because Nigerians somehow have mastered? You saying they're not affected by white supremacy over here? I would say, like you said, Oshay. These are people with a lot of social capital. They're the cream of the crop from their own country, and they bring over capital. They bring over connections. They bring over government help and all that kind of stuff. And that's the reason why it's such a vast difference in the gap. It's not like they come over here and they figured out a way to work their way through white supremacy so much better than us. And so black people don't have any excuse. I mean, these people coming over here with a lot of social capital. And that's the other thing with the Asian folks too, right? When you talk about why they do so well, they got a homeland, they got a government that looks out for them. They come over with access to capital and bank loans and all that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of factors as to why, we don't do nearly as well as them.
Let me also add to that point. In my own program here, the blacks that are in these programs, some of them I know, many of them are on green cards and got loans to come here. And then also they're either one of the Zambian or Nigerian immigrants, meaning that I'm one of the few African Americans that, are here in Poland from the United States in medical school. And then also a lot of those people, when they come over, like other blacks, they can come in and get ours, affirmative action. They qualify for the same things that we can qualify. I mean, go to Howard University School of Medicine or School of Dentistry. You'll see they can, even in Ivy League schools, those people can also claim the same racism card that we have and benefit while having advantages. You understand? So that also goes into play. Go ahead, AB. I'll let you respond to that, and then we'll go to Tony Maceo.
Okay, I got a few notes written down here.
Now, I thought the white man didn't teach you how to read, man. Racism. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as people were talking about aid, they say other countries get aid and they get helped out by the United States. Well, a lot of countries in Africa have a big portion of their budget, which is aid from the United States. What happens with that aid? A lot of times it gets mishandled by corruption in Africa. Oshay, you know how it is. It's corrupt in Africa. Many of the governments,
that's true.
Go through all types of red tape, robbery, everything else. You might get harassed by the police that are there. So this whole thing about police brutality, you ain't seen nothing yet until you go to Nigeria and get beaten your head on the side of the road by some Nigerian police. But I'll move on from that. And as far as desegregation, I mean, we chose that route for ourselves. It's not like we had to do it. We could have simply just kept going about it the same way we had been before. But people like Jackie Robinson and others decided that, as you guys would say over here, the white man's ice is colder. He wanted to go to the majors because he was saying that the Negro Leagues had raggedy buses, raggedy accommodations, this, that, and the third. So he chose to do that. We chose to abandon what we had. And the reason why we say, or over here, they pay you more, it's much more polished. That was our choice. So to say that, oh, well, since they changed the law, that's what messed us up. We chose that. The same thing with the welfare state. We chose that. It's not like we had to get into welfare and remove the man from their home. We chose that. Okay. We didn't have to go kill our babies at a rate of 20 million since 1973 Roe v. Wade. We chose that. We didn't have to make it be like in New York City where you have more black babies that are aborted than are actually born. We chose that. And we're sitting here looking for the skilled and talented people. Maybe they are in the dumpster behind an abortion clinic. That was kind of graphic, but you understand what I mean?
Yeah, no.
A lot of the things that are happening to us, we choose to do for ourselves. The laws are there, which allow us to do it, but our choices have to be much better than that. Now, I didn't say anything about immigrants. I said Asians. That could be immigrants, or it could be people that have been here for a long time. Okay. And the same thing with blacks. When you're looking at the black statistics, that also includes people that came from Africa recently. That's not necessarily separating African Americans who have been here since slavery to away from Nigerians or Ghanaians or whatever. They're put all in one. So I'm not talking about immigrants when I say that Asians have more money per capita than whites and blacks and Latinos. I mean Asians, period. And then my last thing is, I keep hearing about white supremacy. and everybody says, you know, you got to navigate it and all this and that. It's a very nebulous thing. It has no real definition. It's like a specter or a ghost. It's nothing. That's why I don't believe in it, because nobody can really point to anything concrete that points towards this big ominous thing that seems to be the constant go-to and scapegoat anytime somebody says, take responsibility for your own actions. Don't kill your own baby. Don't have a baby outside of wedlock. I mean, get married. How about that? Control your sexual organs. If you have children, pay them some mind. Don't be on your phone all day looking at War Star, Big Booty Brenda. How about
wait a minute? Did you say Big Booty Brenda on War Star?
Take 5 minutes out of your day to teach your baby how to read.
Okay.
If it take more time than that, then take the time. Just do a little bit of planning, do a little bit of thinking about what you want to do before you do it, rather than just acting on impulse. That's what we need to do. But I'll move on.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me do this real quick. Let me shout out to some people, man. We got 382 people in here. Let me do this, man. I got a lot of super chats I gotta read. D Darrell, man. Let me borrow 1.5 gold chains. My pastor, Saint Sinful the P, is in here. He ain't called me in a minute, man. I think he been over there on the Chitlin circuit, and Negro keep running Mississippi out there. You know, we've been preaching you know, at these empty churches. So shout out to Sinful the P, man. He's in the building, y'all. Okay, y'all go subscribe to my brother over there. And if you don't, I'm gonna block you. Let me go to a lot of the brothers, man. That's get the likes up over here. Y'all know this is unacceptable. We got all these black men who can read and write, okay? Because ABL was taking notes. That means white supremacy is not real because he can read and write. So like the video. Shout out to Kenny Blanco. What should the steps for us black people to do better? What can we do on the lowest level? So good question, D Darrell. Always got 32 gold chains on like Mr. T on the 18. Shout out to your player. Hal Bird. Now I'm seeing those same people online complaining that white supremacy tricked them into doing crime. As a man, I can't agree that white people have more power over my community than me.
Exactly. Thank you.
Ooh.
Preach.
Okay.
Preach,
Okay.
brother.
That's a good statement. I can see you going either way. Just for all. Thank you, brother. $20. You're always giving, man. Thank you, man. I'm gonna use your money on macaroni and cheese sandwiches. Matthew, man. Economically, blacks are not at the bottom, but Native Americans are. Okay. Halbert again, he donates. The school to prison pipeline does not exist. I've seen multiple people make that decision to sell drugs and be involved in crime after me and everyone around them told them not to do it. Matthew, man, okay, I was wondering, how would you explain Ashkenazi, Jewish, and East Asiatic individuals beating white Gentiles when it comes to economics and IQs? Usually, Black Ocean, ABL smart as shit, though, the lies. Marcus A. Brown, why is everybody jumping on ABL tonight? He deserves it. Okay, let me go to this piece real quick. We're gonna start off with LAR this time. Let's talk about this. Is it okay? Because ABL says white supremacy does not exist. Okay, so there's no such thing as the school to prison pipeline. Okay, then I want to know, then how do we explain African Americans with most of the percentage of population in prison for whatever reason? Does that have anything to do? Is there any correlation between the high rates of incarceration of black men in prison or black people in prison, even though we're the smallest of the population? Does that have anything to do with systemic racism? And then also I want to talk about this whole idea and piece of I want to talk about also this whole decision to sell drugs. I think Superside was talking about that to the point that these people are put in certain situations where they're more likely to have to do these things or go that way. Let's start off with you, LAR Movement. If you want to weigh in on that particular part of the topic, we can go from there.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, well, the school to prison pipeline thing is, to me, is this right now. You go to prison at an age where you either should be hired or you're going to graduate a higher education to get hired. And the difference is you take felons, a white felon can get a job.
Oh, shit, hold on, the Advice Show is here. Shout out to the Advice Show in the Gone.
All right. What's happening, Phil, in the Gone?
What's going on, Advice Show, man? You the ABL killer, but you got to come back on here and put ABL in his place, man. You know, Dr. Jock got him tonight, but you really had him on the ropes. Go ahead. I'm sorry, LAR. I'm being a groupie player.
No.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Hotel.
A white felon can get a job before a black man who doesn't have a felony get a job if they're going for the same job. Normally, that's a problem. We've seen over the last 5 to 10 years, white males in particular rape women in school and still go to school and be able to get an education and graduate because you don't want to mess up their future. We've seen in that same time, black guys get accused of rape and get kicked out of school and either get put in jail or they say after the fact, oh, my bad. That's a problem. We know in America, two people can commit the same crime but be a different race and get two different sentences. So that's a problem. And I've been in those neighborhoods where you're right, brother selling drugs, he get locked up. I've seen it myself where I went to a college, just a summer thing at a college, and some Amish kids got caught with almost an ounce of weed. Did they go to jail? Absolutely not, because there was Amish kids. If it was me and my friends with an ounce of weed, I'd have been locked up. So it's a different society that we don't want to take into consideration, because even where I'm living at now, they had meth bust, cocaine bust, weed bust, steroid bust. But you know what? These things get wound up when you have these kids put in these their records can get expunged. Sometimes because of their race, other times because of their economics. So if you can't fit those things, guess what? These kids are still going to school. These kids can still get jobs. But if they was a kid from my neighborhood where I grew up, your ass is getting 20 years. Okay. So to me, it's different. But I'm done.
Okay, hold on. You was doing good, Hotep. That's why, you know what? Shout out to brother LAR. I've been trying to get his long-winded working skills. He's not there yet. I've been trying to get you.
Hotep.
Go ahead.
Hotep. I'm trying to share the stage, man. I don't want to be like
Brian Logan, who just come in, hog the mic and everything like that. Tony Maceo, man, we got to welcome into the show. So, brother, I know some people want to get us in the go on. I don't know if Pastor want to get on. Advice show. He cools a day. He gonna wait to get AB another day. But I'm trying to work everybody in now. So let me Sub-Zero just joined the call from earlier. So let me get my brother on, Tony Maceo, senior writer over at the Black Juggernaut, the Negro Manosphere. Okay, brother, come on in here, brother, and drop some of this game on ABL. I know you got something for him, player. I know you got something for him. ABL scared of you anyway.
It's not a either or thing. It's an and or but. I always say liberals don't blame anybody for anything ever, but conservatives blame us for everything that goes on. It seems as though he has this constant fixation with, and he's absolutely right. We have personal responsibility. No one's denying that. But parent home, a father needs a job. Even in a two-parent home, a community needs an infrastructure. And he keeps saying, well, point to a law. Well, the problem is that when it comes to discrimination, unfortunate discrimination usually private sector, and in the private sector, you are allowed to discriminate. Is it morally, is it something that's morally laudable? No. But does it happen? Yes. Private property gives you the right to exclude. It gives you the right to discriminate. You're not going to find a smoking gun where someone says, well, I'm not going to hire this person because he's black. It's called at will. It's coding. It's code switching. You don't come right out and say, well, I'm a bigot. You come right out and say, well, I have my reasons for discharging you. I have my reasons for the reason why I can't employ you. There's a term. The law has a. Are you familiar with that term, Mr. Logan?
What term was that?
Hello? I said, yeah. Are you familiar with the term disparate impact?
Your phone is kind of.
You're kind of breaking up. I can't really hear you.
I didn't hear you.
The phone was messing up.
I asked you, are you a disparate impact? Am I still breaking up?
You're a little bit better, but say the term again.
Disparate impact. Are you familiar with that term, Mr. Logan?
No.
Disparate impact is a term used to describe a policy or a procedure that is purported neutral, but its consequences positive. The law allows that form of discrimination in terms of employment suits, and it allows that term in the context of employment suits. Discrimination happens in employment suits. But because it has become very difficult, as you pointed out on this panel, to prove discrimination, because bigots usually don't leave smoking guns. Therefore, it becomes more difficult to point out because they're hiding it oftentimes behind pretext, behind different subterfuge. I'll give you an example. There's a law in the books. It's called McDonnell Douglas. McDonnell Douglas, I think it is. It says that in instances of employment discrimination, you make the allegation. Your employer has to come back and say that it's non-discriminatory. What he did to you, he did it to you because of X, Y, and Z. And then you have to come back and prove that he's lying. So in other words, if you can't produce a white sheet, or if you can't produce a racial epithet, and sometimes that's not even enough, you can't prove a form of discrimination in the court. So my point here is just because they're or a codified or legislative rule that enforces bigotry does not mean that it doesn't exist. Now, with that being said, do Black people have a responsibility? Of course they do. You talked about Asians. The reasons that Asians prosper is because Asians practice a form of communal socialism. And socialism is a dirty word to conservatives like you. But they practice a form of socialism to whereas whatever profit that they earn from whatever business infrastructure or economic infrastructure that they have, they put it back into not only their community, but to their children. So of course, there's going to be an upwardly mobile swing as far as Asians are concerned. Now, should African Americans be doing that? They should absolutely be doing that. But let's not pretend as though we don't understand the different nuances that are involved in wealth disparities in this country. Let's not pretend that everything just comes down to single parents. Yes, single parents do bear responsibility. Single mothers do bear responsibility for what has happened. But even in a two-parent home, a father still needs an economic opportunity. And even when you get economic opportunity, we still have to have political and feudal protection for whatever gains that we have. Now, I heard a lot of people, they were talking about desegregation, and I agreed with you there when you said we chose to go to Mr. Charlie's ice house. You are absolutely correct. But desegregation, dealing with equal protection of the law, is a far cry from desegregation, asking someone to economically destroy their community.
Okay.
And in many instances, those communities were already established before desegregation happened. Tulsa is being the biggest example. Tulsa was.
I gotta be right back. So I gotta ask a question before I come back. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Wait. You gotta.
Occurred when the vast majority of these white towns were wiped out. Okay. So it's not an either
your mic is
or
lagging
problem.
A little bit, your mic is lagging a little bit. But hold on a second. ABL, what's the question? Let's do this. Ask the question, but because there's other people on the panel, so we want to make sure everybody else talks. So
absolutely. So what I'm gonna do?
You want, and then Tony, hold that thought on the response, and then we got to get to some other people. Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna ask you this question, then I'll be back in about 15-20.
Okay.
But my question is, I got to eat, man. I mean, come on. My question is this.
Okay.
Why can't Black people create their own economic opportunities? I keep hearing this thing about discrimination and all this and that. It seems like we're totally dependent upon white people for our salvation, whether it be from employment or from government assistance. Why does it have to be so? Why can't we be relying upon ourselves? How did we survive segregation? I asked that question. I'll let y'all answer it. I'll be right back.
Hold on a second. Before we do that, let me do this. We're gonna from Tony real quick to let me go to a minute tomorrow, and then the super slide, and then the Sub-Zero, and then back to Doc. Okay, so let's do that. Let me shout out some people real quick. We got a packed house. A lot of people wanting to get on. Guys, just give me a chance. I know people want to get on. It's hard managing the people that we have right now. So as we, because we already have people that are big personalities, stuff like that. So let me get to what we can get right now. I'll get you on before the show's over. Super Triz, my man. Respect to Oshay Duke Vlogcast channel, bro. I enjoyed you on Marcus's Brown channel. I got to have you on the panel. Ron Brown, question to the panel. Is there a difference between the term white supremacy versus white privilege? If so, how would you describe the two terms? That's a good question. Thank you, Brother Brown. Odinga, met that brother in Brazil. Take a break. This is for your 4x4 enjoyment. I don't know what you're talking about, player. Great discussion. We need a term other than white supremacy. Rain nights. My brother always showing on. What up? Gentlemen, got to watch the repeat. Robert J., you do great shows. Just showing support. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Black Ocean, single parenthood, unhealthy diet during youth, Similac, stressed out and pregnant single moms, alcoholism, and drug parents combined with other negatives that directly affects our children's IQ. Mr. J, thank you, player. Thanks for this Oshay discussion. More balanced perspective like ABL. He is correct. No more excuses, black folks. Andy, blacks have lower IQs on average, which means they will, on average, be less successful. Asians have higher IQs and they earn less money, earn more money. D. Darrell again, thank you, Kenny Blanco. All right, let's go to this real quick. And Kenny Blanco, I've forgotten your question. Let's go to brother Super Sly because he's been waiting for a minute, and we can go to him real quick, and then we go to Mana tomorrow, and then Super Sly. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mana tomorrow.
You know, so far, I mean, it's still a presuppositional argument that everything is good and that we can hold the history of black people against black people, but we cannot hold the history of black people against the newcomers into our society. Like, if I was an immigrant, I don't get 7 years of tax breaks that I can hand off to the next generation of people for owning a store in the black community. I can't do that. But if I was a black person, open a store in the black community, I couldn't get loans. I couldn't get any of that stuff. So we keep having this argument to where we want to hold the history in its entirety against black people, but we don't want to hold the history of black people against people who didn't have to go through any of that stuff. And it's kind of shows like we're kind of on this hamster wheel. Of course, if I was to live in Germany until I'm 19 years old and I came to the United States, I'm the best of the best that society produces. That's what the society produces on average, because education is free there. I can't really explain that to a person growing up in pre-civil rights Mississippi or even Alabama and try to make a 19-year-old from then and now look like they have the same person with the same responsibilities. And that's all that I'm saying. But I agree with ABL on everything else. It's just that the presupposition that we shouldn't be complaining about X is crazy, because after those people turned off those water hoses on us, they went straight into government. They went straight into education, and they've been kneecapping our asses ever since. So that's all I got to say.
Okay. No, I definitely good point. Let me go to my brother Super Sly, and then we're gonna go to Doc real quick. Go ahead, Super Sly. What you got to say, man? Just be the shark you were born to be, brother.
Hey, no. First thing I would say is look no further than the Rockefeller laws of the '80s. I mean, enough said with that. For those that want to mention homeschool as far as an alternative to the prison school pipeline, homeschool is cool, but they're outlawing that in a few states as well. So that's not going to be a viable option for everybody, depending on what state you live in. Third thing is, someone said in the comments, you know, white supremacy doesn't have anything to do with your city or whatever the case may be. That's fine and dandy, but for some odd reason, Black Democrat ran cities, you know, your Baltimore, your Detroits, for some odd reason are, you know, below the average. Is that I will give ABL a point to that. For some odd reason, when we take care of our own, or when we run our own stuff, we run it into the ground for whatever reason the case may be. I would ask, are Democrats an agent of white supremacy to a certain extent? Because you'd be hard pressed to convince me otherwise. And then as far as the felonies, if you have felonies, I think the worst felonies to have are drug offenses, without question, because it makes it harder for you to get school loans if you decide to go back to school, or if you go to trucking school to get a loan, you know, your FAFSA, your Pell Grants and things of that nature. So Felonies hurt, but it's not. Hell, I got a felony, and I ain't never had an issue getting a job ever. I don't let that be an excuse for me. So, but I get felonies do hurt and impact you in other ways and forms. It just depends on the nature of your felony and what you're trying to do moving forward for that. That's all I got.
Okay. Let me do this. I'll shout out the new super chats. Thank you, brothers, for supporting. I know we got a lot of people in here. Get the likes up, brothers. 361. The likes are free. Jesus paid it all. New possibilities. I sent you an email, man. I know you was in the show last week, so I sent you an email last week with the link. If you want to get on a little bit later when we get everybody through. But let's go to
can I answer his question?
Oh, Sub-Zero. I'm sorry, I forgot about Sub-Zero and then the Doc. Go ahead, Sub-Zero. Go ahead, brother. I forgot about you.
The thing is, man, I agree. I do believe there's a such thing as racism, white supremacy. I do believe that our children are targeted in the education system. But I do also feel like sometimes it does come to, and I see it on YouTube a lot of times in discussions and stuff, a person's core shapes their worldview, their values on the inside, who they are on the inside shape. So if you are built a certain way, white supremacy is God, and they have tentacles everywhere. You can't, anything you try, anything you do is gonna fail because of white supremacy. And that is is counterproductive sometimes. Although I just acknowledge I talk about the prison. I mean, to sit and say that they haven't made a business and they're making money off putting black men in prison. All you gotta do is look at the numbers and see. Crime has not increased, it's at all-time lows, but the numbers are still spiking up. It's about making money. So, that's just a fact. So that's true, but I don't know, man. I just sometimes it's like, I think it's Confucius. He who believes he can and he who believes he can't are both usually right. I think a person's worldview shapes where they come from politically. Like when I hear people talk, I hear something. And to me, I see something completely opposite. It's like oil and vinegar. Oil and water. Some things just don't mix. And to me, I think it's wisdom not to even try to get into the weeds with a person on certain subjects, because that's just the way it is. I know people that make six figures and they think they're somehow exceptional and nobody else can do what they do, especially black people I know in IT that I've worked alongside. They'll be super navy blue Democrat, but I'll be like, well, why are you so special that you can make it out? But what did you do and how can we replicate that? Mm-hmm. But they don't seem to put that together. Oh, I'm just lucky. Nobody's, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess it's over for us. And 75% of black people just ain't gonna make it. Simple as that.
Okay. Let me get the Dr. Middle, and then we go to LAR. Who was that talking? I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
It's me. O'Shea.
Yeah.
I would like to answer his question.
Okay, let me let the Dr. Meadows say something, and we'll kind of come back. Let me let.
It's all good. It's all good. I like what the last gentleman was saying about your worldview and how that shapes that ultimately kind of shapes your views politically, maybe before you even have a formal political education, in terms of being able to call yourself a conservative, liberal, and how you view the plight of Black America. With me, to kind of tie in this whole notion of like what you can do, what you do personally can trump everything that's against you systemically. I mean, in essence, I was kind of brought up that way by my mom and dad. I was given that notion of, hey, things are unequal and unfair, and you got to do twice as good to get half as much, right? That was the mantra. You know what I mean? So it was like recognizing there were systemic things against you, and yes, your personal behavior and choices and everything can make it more likely that you can circumvent that kind of stuff. But let's be honest, right? I mean, that's that whole talented 10th kind of thing where, like, only a small percentage of folks are going to be able to really navigate that. And why should that burden be on Black America when we know that there are average people from the dominant society that get all kinds of hookups and everything and don't have to be exceptional about it, because the system buffers them around. The system shows them sympathy. The system gives them multiple chances to fail. You know what I mean? So, you know, and like the brother said too, you know, after some point you just kind of get fatigued, you know, going back and forth with somebody like ABL. You know, you know, respect the brother and everything, but I mean, you know, his viewpoint is very reductionist. You know what I mean? It's all down to personal stuff. He ignores legacy. He ignores history. You know what I mean? And it's just like, hey, you can turn your circumstances around with your own individual behavior, and it's just like, come on. You know, and if anybody should want to grasp that and run with that, it might be somebody like me who's done really well. But even you know, I got cousins. You know what I mean? I got mama. You know what I mean? I know how it's out there for everybody.
And you an oncologist, went to one of the best medical schools in the country.
So right, you know, so it's just, I don't know, it's hardening a little bit.
No, man, you're getting your long man. You know you can never work worse than Edward, man. So so shout out to Doc. Let me go. Okay. Just go with Tony real quick, answer that question, and then we're gonna go to LAR. I know we got a lot of people on the panel, but go ahead quickly, Tony, and then we'll go to LAR, and then we're gonna answer ABL's question. But go ahead, Tony.
Well, I wanted to answer this question. It is never, we never said that Black people couldn't have their own infrastructure. No one has ever said that. Matter of fact, I'm in favor of Black people having their own infrastructure. I'm in favor of Black people having their own economic institutions, because that's the key. That's one of the keys to solving this problem. But again, like the other brother said, you know, we can't ignore the systemic reality. I mean, you can't ignore, you know, you can't ignore the blade at your throat. I mean, that's what it is. So it's a bad hand that we've been dealt, but we still have to find a way to come out of it. We've done it before. We can do it again. Hank Aaron said, and I agree. He said that if the other side has something that I don't have, I haven't seen it yet. And I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. So we're not saying that Black people can't have their own businesses. We can't say, we're not saying that Black people are hopelessly dependent upon white people for everything. We're saying that it is possible for us to have whatever we want, but we still have to acknowledge what we're up against. So, you know, that's the situation. And again, we love talking about the other minorities. Like the last gentleman just said, the good doctor just said, we love talking about the other minorities, but we don't want to acknowledge the hand up that the other minorities have had, whether it be the Irish, whether it be the Italians, whether it be the Jews. We simply refuse to acknowledge that, but we want to put the burden. It's interesting. We always want to put the burden on Black people to do the impossible, while other people are getting assistance hand over foot, and nobody says anything about that. But they're on us about, you know, government assistance, and you still have to do X, Y, and Z, and so forth and so on. I just wish they would apply that across. If you're going to be a conservative, apply that standard across the board to everybody. Don't just aim it at Black people.
Okay, no. Let me, before we go to LAR, let me go ahead and thank you, brothers, man. The chat room was moving real quick. 372 people in here. Man of tomorrow, let's end with options so people suspecting and unsuspecting can dodge most of this BS in my ABL voice. Matthew, man, you guys do not mention Ashkenazi's Jews being the most successful overall, money-wise and overall intellectual-wise than East Asian. Let me say this. Thank you, brothers, for watching, man. But I done seen certain people donate more than one time today. Okay, I done seen people like the videos. Now, if you're, typically a little bit new, you want to support this cast, the All Black Male Podcast. I do not use all your money for buying midget strippers. I promise you, I will not. I will take at least 5% of this money and pay people on negromanosphere.com. All right, so listen, need you brothers, man, that you enjoy what you listen to. Donate $1 if you never donated before. I like to see new people supporting the podcast. So the Sunday stream is, I call it like a heavyweight stream, right? Typically, it's either you're a big YouTuber in this sector, you're a black male professional. You got to be somebody. You can't just get on my Sunday streams and you be a bullshit. I'm sorry. Oops, Dr. Shit, I can't be cursing. You got to be somebody to get on the Sunday streams. All right, so you got to be doing something. So so brothers, if you like the streams, if you can super chat, start with $1. If you've never donated before, I always see the same people supporting the stream. So if you can't do anything, just like the video, keep rocking. Thank you for listening in. Let me go to who hasn't talked in a while. Ghana Dan. Anything you want to weigh in on, brother? Oh, wait, did I miss LAR Movement? I'm sorry, LAR Movement. I'm sorry, player. LAR
okay. Since ABL gone, I'm going to try to get my villain on we can check these things up. How about we bring into the room that we as a people participate in the prison to school to prison pipeline, but not accepting society as it is. We're telling our kids, we know we grew up knowing it wasn't fair, but now we're telling our kids that it's supposed to be fair, knowing that it isn't fair. Like, when are we going to accept the idea that we need to stop acting like this shit is in our favor? And we as adults are acting like bitches by telling the next generation, it's okay. You know it's unfair, but it's not supposed to be that way. Just take this ass whipping and say it's everybody else's fault. We know other people got set asides. We know other people get benefits. We know the teachers in the school don't like us. We grew up like that. We know the minute we got a zero tolerance policy, especially if you're a black boy and black man. So why the hell are we running around here acting as though, you know what, son? When you turn 12, they will blow your head off, but it's not right. So act like they won't blow your head off. Like, at some point, we are participating in this. Mm-hmm. You know, should we do certain things to help ourselves? Absolutely. When we say the government is sabotaging us, if we know the government sabotaging us, why are we not operating as if we know the government's gonna sabotage us? Why are we operating like if I was white, this shit'll work? Your ass ain't white. How retarded you gotta be you wake up in the morning every day and see you not white, see you not treated like you white, see your kids not treated like they're white, but you keep getting up every day saying this shit ain't fair because I'm not white. That means you're fucking idiot. So did I get my villain on good enough this time?
Man, you
not
was
really.
listen,
Not really. That was a good one.
It was a good
shit. One. I should have went worse. Okay.
You can never be ABL, man. Even if you try, man, you can't you can't do it like him. Who else is next? Let me go to real quick. Let's go to Ghana Dan, and then go ahead, and then we go to back to Super Sub-Zero. Go ahead, Ghana Dan.
All right, can we revisit the question just to be sure what so I can address it accurately, because I got lost in all these brilliant points.
Yeah, man, there's so much intelligence going on, man. Even my IQ has risen at least by 32 points today, brother. So now I'm at a 33 IQ. But I think the point that ABL was saying was, well, why can't we as blacks do something for ourselves? And there's some questions on Super Chat that I'm gonna ask her pretty soon, but I guess he's saying what's stopping black people from doing, their own things, because, why are we not creating opportunities ourselves? In other words, well, if white supremacy is such a problem, why are blacks not doing for themselves? I think that's what he's asking. What's stopping us?
There's nothing stopping us. The deck been stacked against us since we came over here, or for those who think or feel that we are indigenous to America. Since Europeans have stepped over here 500 years, the deck has been stacked against us. And it's time for us to adjust. And that's on us as men. It's time for us to stand up and continue to, one, work on ourselves, and then do our best to align ourselves with other like-minded men who have proven themselves. I mean, just on this panel alone, we got hundreds of thousands of man hours of men who've dedicated themselves to craft, from the doctor to, even ABL, all the way to, everybody have dedicated themselves to some form of craft. And what typically happens, being that the last 40 years, we've been suffering from black males who been raised by black women. They have a deep-seated hatred or disdain for other black men. Even if they are successful, they can't work with black men. So it's a little twist of personal accountability, but also acknowledging, okay, the deck is stacked against me. What am I going to do about it? Because we as men, we supposed to adjust. I mean, we not afforded we can't afford too many more generations of pointing the finger at white people. We got to do something about it. And, we have to change this culture, starting with ourselves. I mean, the young black men that I blessed to mentor, I let every one of them know, one baby is $400 a month, times 18 years is $86,400. So when you 40, instead of being broke at 40, you have some investment capital in yourself because you're not wasting your seed on degenerate women, or because sometimes it's not always the woman, it could be her family that is the problem. So there's so much that have to be addressed, starting with self. And then we align ourselves with capable Black men, because women are not going to build economies. That's not their job. They've had 50 years since the women's movement to build an economy, and they haven't done it yet. They barely pass on anything to their children. And we have to be honest. So until we men stand up and start aligning ourselves with other like-minded men, a lot of Black men are not ready for this. They don't want the responsibility. It's hard. And I understand all the components, that the environment isn't favorable to work with Black women, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Hey, I feel you. But at the end of the day, the more we work with each other, the stronger we can get. I know about a couple of months ago, Man of Tomorrow brought something to the table. It hasn't been discussed to my knowledge when it comes to getting in on some of these federal jobs, or excuse me, some of these federal contracts. So we got enough brilliance amongst those in just the Negro manosphere on this panel, and those who are on the stream, and those who are not even able to get on the stream. We can create some shit. And all it takes is one. And, if anybody got any sense, they always follow the money. That's one thing I've learned. Follow the money, you know what direction. Follow the money, you know the trends of the market. So that's my question. That's my response to ABL. We can do whatever the hell we want to do. We got to stop making excuses. But
That's
we
right.
also have to acknowledge that the deck is stacked against us, so we'll know our strengths and weaknesses too.
Okay, good point. Let me do this. I'm gonna go to Tony. Somebody dropped off. I think that was probably the Doc got up out of here, man. He probably had to go because he only spends a certain amount of time.
I'm here.
Oh no. Dr. Kenyon Meadows left, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. So shout out to he don't spend too much time on it. He has a budgeted amount of time he can spend on the podcast, but he only get to say about 5 or 6 things because you know how we are, but we long-winded over here. Okay. Let me do this. Shout out to him for coming on. We're going to do a show this week on some financial investing for you, brother. Shout out to brother Marlon Brown. Shout out the story of the Black conservative. Immigrants do well because they know what personal responsibility is. Majority are not well off. The rich immigrants stay in their home countries. Larry Wilson, great show, guys. Thank you, brother Monty Bear, 71. Thank you, Southern Comfort. Shout out to you, Oshay, for bringing the new blood in. I definitely do that. Let's kind of start with Sub-Zero, and I got whatever you wanted to weigh in on Sub-Zero. And I also want to kind of talk to this piece. Are Black parents, do they don't care as much as other groups' parents? Whites, non-Black. Something we got to don't get too happy, ABL. You know what I got. You know what, you're a good debater. I got to give it to you, but I have to pull your head. I got to get a little liberal sometime on you, but we on the same team a little bit. I like you a little something. Not like that, but you know what I'm saying. Some of your points. Hotep. We'll talk about that because I see you getting happy about that. So let's do that real quick, brothers. I'm gonna let Sub-Zero weigh in on what he want to weigh in, and then we're gonna talk about, is there a difference between Black parents being involved in their kids' lives versus non-Black parents? But let's go to Sub-Zero first. I'm gonna put my fish in the oven.
That topic you just said is juicy, man. It's like I feel like a mosquito in a nudist colony when you said that.
Man,
so,
man, go ahead on, get long with it, player.
I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna get long with it. I'm gonna say this right here. I would say in the affirmative because, and this is why I would say that. As much as, like for example, there's this. I know Chief Keef is not a great example to be held up for an example of Black men. Okay. However, he got in a beef with a guy in Tekashi, and he went and took his baby moms and did some stuff. And come to find out, I saw a guy talking about it, and he was like, "Oh, well, Chief Keef doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about that child." To me, that's almost it. Something is wrong with a person when you would put your DNA, have your DNA walking around, and you ignore and not care. And I think that is more prevalent in our communities. So I have to be in the affirmative. You can count to reasons why, but you can talk about the child support system. You can talk about Black women and how whatever. But still, nonetheless, there are a lot. Now, I know somebody's gonna come back and say, well, a lot of women don't want their kids around their fathers, and like, okay, fine, whatever. But I'm just telling you that we have a higher number. I know a lot of guys, a lot. Since I've been 15, I knew guys that had kids that they would ignore. And I got a son, so for me, I love my son to death. I give my life for him. And a lot of black men are like me. I'm not trying to say that we're not, but there is a higher number of us like that. And if you would compare it to like the Asians, for example, right? On average, Asian kids spend about 4 hours a night in doing homework.
Preach.
If black kids, I know we say, well, Asians have a hand up. Look, I agree. Any foreigner coming in, they got all types of benefits. Asians actually are the number one beneficiaries of SBA loans. So there are certain things that just don't line up 100% one way, but they do. I'm sorry, Asians come from a culture of rice. If you read Malcolm Gladwell's, I forget the name of it. He had a book basically where he's talking about cultures that raise rice. They have a tendency to not give up easily. They're very good at math and science. So Asians, on average, have higher IQs. And what happens is they actually come in and they actually work hard in math. And so they benefit and they excel in math, right? So they on average spend about 3-4 hours a day a night. And if I don't care what you say, I don't care what education system, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, I don't care if it's racist, I don't care anything. I don't give a damn. It could be an old school book. Your books can be old. If you spend 3 hours a day doing math and science and studying, you're at least gonna get an HBCU scholarship.
Preach.
That to me, that's where I don't believe in this. That's where I am. Like I said, I don't believe white supremacy is God. I don't. You look at the Freedmen, just my last point. The Freedmen's Bank came about 20 years after slavery. Even with all that stuff they were doing, just in those few little years, the few little months before Lincoln got shot, there were a few things set up, and we actually had a bank. Now it got messed over, but at the end of the day, we had $52 million amassed from former slaves. And Lincoln set that up because he wanted us to learn about banking and investments and stuff. So that is the type of stuff that I draw strength from in history. So I do believe that black people, when we try hard, we can excel, even though I'm not going to be stupid enough to say that there aren't things. Of course there are. You black, it's not fair. It's not tilted in your favor. But if you work, you can. You don't hand me that bull that I don't care how hard I work. I know people think like that. No matter how hard you work, nothing's going to work out. So if you go to school, get your education, don't have kids out of wedlock, go to college, do major in a math. Because see, when you go, one of the things black people on average spend about 30 minutes a night doing homework. What that's going to do is you're going to shy away from math and science. Those are the higher paying jobs. So what's going to happen is you're going to be a psychology major, history, criminal justice. So you'll go to college, student debt, you're going to be at Starbucks. And, so that type of stuff is culture, is more, and I do have to acknowledge that. I can't just go one way.
Preach on it, brother.
I'm out. Y'all have a good day.
All right, peace. I think Oshay bounced. But yeah, I just wanted to respond to that. A couple of things. Kids in the black community are often seen as a burden rather than a gift. You're sending the kids to the grandma house. You're trying to get somebody to come watch them because the mother, she might be 15, 16, 17, 18. She's still trying to live like she is a young girl. She's still trying to go out there and party. And this behavior often continues into the time when the kid needs the most attention from the mother. Who knows where the father is? Sometimes the father is trying to be around and the mother's not letting them. Sometimes you don't want to be there or whatever the case may be. Sometimes he's doing the best he can, but regardless of what, it's still a situation where things just ain't going right. And then you have the mother's not caring, the father's not really being there. Who's going to actually be there to tell that child you need to be reading every day? You need to all the time have a book right in front of your face. How often is that going to be the case? It's not really going to be as often as it should be. And when that's going on, you're going to see the kids just gravitate towards what they like to do, what they enjoy doing, rather than what they're supposed to be doing, rather than what they got to be doing. They'd rather be out here dancing and playing basketball than actually sitting down and reading the book and educating themselves. Okay, so by the time they get to be 15, 16, they're real good at the dance moves. You know, they could be, they can grow up to be a Instagram twerker. They could grow up to be, they could grow up to be a street baller or something like that. But when you're talking about real education, things that are going to be able to get you forward in life, things that'll last you for a long time, we're lacking in that. And it comes from the household. Like I was saying earlier, when you have kids that are a burden rather than a gift, there's going to be nobody there that's telling them, okay, you need to be reading this book every day. You need to understand how to count to 10. They're going to be behind from the beginning. Most Black kids, when they go to school, they can't do anything. They can't read, they can't write. They're totally just a blank slate. But the Asian kids, the white kids, and sometimes even the Hispanic kids have had some kind of assistance at home from their mother, usually, sometimes even their father. So they're already at an advantage over the Black kids. And then when a Black person realizes that they're behind everybody else of different racial groups, they want to cry white supremacy, racism, this, that, and the third. But it ain't like that. It's just the fault of their parents that have not given them the tools they need to succeed in life. So that's why I say white supremacy, racism, all these things are just a cap out. It's easy to say that because you don't have to go any kind of way deeper. You don't have to go deeper into the situation. You could just say white supremacy is the reason. I don't have to look at myself as a mother or a father and my child not being able to succeed. I don't have to explore those things because white supremacy, that's the reason. You just hang your head on that and move on and ignore the real reason why your child is right where they are.
Okay, man. So let me get to some people, man. Let me go to a super slide. See what the Great Black Shark has to say about this whole tab.
I agree with everything ABL said. I agree. I cringe every time I watch the NBA draft, the NFL draft. I hate seeing the Black kid with his mom jumping for joy.
Yes.
But, you know, every year we go through this, and it's always shown on the biggest platform, always, and it's always celebrated, even though they're less than 1% of the population. But in media, it's propagated as like they're the majority, which is not the case. And yes, the nerds get talked about, they get shunned. You get called a white boy. It happened to me too. I used to do kids' homework for money, and I got called a white boy or a nerd, and I got, you know, you try to do the shaming tactics and all that good stuff. Education is not celebrated the way it should be with us. I agree. But a lot of it, when it comes to our boys, and not to big up Umar, but Umar made a great point. Black boys learn differently. Boys in general, they're more hands-on. They need to actually be doing the things as opposed to girls that can sit in a classroom environment all day and be fed information. And so then when the boys have been labeled attention deficit disorder, they're putting on these drugs, and it kind of impedes their learning and progress as well. But yes, we have a culture of dysfunction that is celebrated. And I remember growing up, when there was a girl pregnant in school, we were like, ooh, she's pregnant. Ooh, she would get shamed, right? The girl would go away for a summer and you'll never see her again. I remember that still growing up in school. Now, you know, you go to high school, damn near everybody either had a kid or is having a kid. And our morals, values have gone to the complete utter wayside. And unfortunately, I know a lot of single moms that first thing they want to do is put their kids in sports. Like that's the way out. That's not the only way out. You know, I'd rather you push your kids into being the people that surround the athletes, the accountants, the lawyers, the business managers. Those are the people that, you know, help create wealth for the athlete. So it's all reversed. It's all fucked up, to be honest with you. And like I said, it's our own fault to a certain extent. I agree.
Okay, let me do this. I want to good point, Super Slide. I want to answer some of these questions, and thank you guys. Let me shout out the Super Chats. Duke, most blacks are playing catch up at 25 to everyone else, and those that are not vilified by other blacks for not having to play catch up, or those or who that are vilified by blacks. I think that's a good point. Christopher Harris, thank you so much. $1 Super Chat. Marlon, $5. Larry Wilson, 99. I think I already mentioned him. Don Grady, just whites practice tyranny and imperialism. They are supreme over us. We need to stop saying that. Let me ask you this: does anybody know? Is there a difference between white privilege, Question to the panel: is there a difference between the terms white supremacy versus white privilege? If so, how would you describe the two terms? Okay, and we do have 2 slots on the panel open. So, Nagona, I sent you a link. Go ahead. Anybody want to describe? Is there a difference between white supremacy and white privilege?
They're both emotional terms. They're both emotional terms, and they're used as scapegoats, but they don't really mean anything in actuality, in my humble opinion.
Why? Why don't they mean anything?
Because people just use it arbitrarily. They just use it whenever they feel like it's appropriate to use it. But it's just like no concrete thing that you can really point to. White privilege. I mean, what is that really? I mean, it's to the point now where it's a joke. It's a meme. It's not. It's nothing, man. It's just like saying, I don't know, man. It's an opinion. It's just like saying a girl is beautiful and she has that type of privilege. I mean, sometimes the girl is not beautiful. It's really just a matter of personal opinion. It's in the eye of the beholder. It's just whatever you feel is correct. That's what you'll say when you use a term like white supremacy or white privilege. These terms are emotional. They're not really rooted in reality.
Why do you think they're emotional, though? I mean, because
it's all about what somebody feels. It's not about facts.
Okay, no facts. Okay, here's a fact. Here's a fact for me. Who's on the US dollar bill right now? What color are they?
It's white.
All of them.
Okay.
Dollar bill.
Yes.
$5 bill.
Okay. I mean, if you put Harriet Tubman on $20 bill, is that going to change anything?
Oh no!
You can put everybody.
Who's on the dollar bill? You said these people are white, right?
But
okay.
Yeah.
So who has the most people on percentage? The wealthiest country, businesses, CEOs, all that. University presidents.
Well, white people are the majority of the country, and this country up until the 1960s was 90% white. So why wouldn't they have the majority of everything? It was their country. We were here, but we were like a very small minority. So logically, what makes it? It's like
what's the biggest religion in the United States?
Huh?
What is the biggest religion in the United States?
Christianity.
And what is the key figure of that religion? What's his name?
Jesus.
What does he look like portrayed?
Well, if you look at most churches, he's white. And you can paint Jesus white.
How many?
Listen to me. You can paint Jesus black. You can put black people on all the US dollar bills. What is it going to change? That's what I'm talking about. It's an emotional argument.
I don't.
Okay.
Go ahead, brother. Hold up.
If you're gonna paint Jesus as white, when he was born in an area full of black people, and we follow that religion, that's a privilege. Hold on, bully.
Hold up, brother.
You got 2 flags in the background, right?
Yes, I do.
One is the American flag, and one is the Blue Lives Matter flag.
Yes.
Hold up.
So, who kills the most police officers racially?
Blacks.
That's a lie. Whites kill
white people. White people by far.
But white people aren't looked at as a threat by police officers like black people.
Whites are killed the most by police officers too.
That's what I just said that you told me no.
Nah, you said who kills the most officers. I said whites are killed by officers the most.
Who kills the most police officers?
Okay, I think the answer to that, you said it was whites, and then I said a different thing. You're saying who kills officers the most. I'm saying whites are killed by police officers the most. That's two different questions. That's two different things.
But that's not what I asked.
I understand that. Okay. So the answer to your question, who kills the most officers, you guys say is whites. Okay, it's whites. Now, I'm giving you a different point in saying that whites are also killed the most by police officers. When you say they're not seen as a threat, then why are they the most killed?
Whites attack police officers more than anybody else in America, do they not?
And they're killed by them the most so
why are whites not looked at as a threat to police officers like blacks?
Because
whites are attacked by whites the most, right?
You're not making sense. Because how are you saying in that?
I told you I whip your ass in poker because you be lying like this. I be you got these tails.
No. You're not making sense because how are you saying they're not seen as a threat when whites are killed the most by police officers? I don't understand how that makes sense.
Okay, if whites commit crime, don't whites give whites a lighter sentence?
No, nah.
Compared to everybody else, they don't.
Nah, especially not in the urban inner city area. Pookie and Ray
do they
get
live
off.
in the urban inner city areas?
Huh?
Do they live in the urban inner city area?
No, I'm talking about as compared to blacks. I think that was what you were saying, right?
No, I'm saying if you got a white guy, a black guy, an Asian guy, and a Hispanic guy commit the same crime, normally who gets the lightest sentence?
Well, it depends on where you are. If you're in the urban inner city area, it'll be the black person who gets the lighter sentence.
Why do you say that?
Because, I mean, the evidence is in the case like Baltimore, Maryland, you had Freddie Gray. He'd been arrested 25 times before he turned 25. How is that possible if we keep getting football numbers? It don't make no sense. And there was another guy on that same block that had been arrested 80 times.
You act like you haven't seen rap sheets of white guys over the last 20 years that have been arrested 100, 107, 87, 54 times, keep committing crimes and keep being out on the street. That is a normal behavior in that community. Felonies get turned to misdemeanors. Misdemeanors get turned to just like what are we talking about here? Now there is a privilege.
You're a black person in a suburb type area, you probably get football numbers because in general, suburb areas prosecute everybody with much more severity because they don't want that kind of crime in the area. But if you go to the urban inner city area, what happens is a thing called a Bronx jury. Are you familiar with that term?
Hold on, I'm not familiar, but I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
We were talking about a school to prison pipeline, right?
Yes.
It's commonly known in America that white schools and Ivy League schools are rampant with drugs.
Okay.
They do cocaine, they do weed, they do heroin.
Who's selling it to them? Who's selling it to them?
Their own people.
Are you sure about that?
Wait. Are you trying to say that black people are selling drugs to white folks in suburban areas? Oh, is that what you're trying to indicate, brother?
Absolutely. Come on. I know a lot of guys that's in jail. That's their main cut. That's their main cutties is the white people, the suburban white people.
Okay.
That's their main
cutties.
Okay,
since you're in the streets so well, ABL, what does the plug look like, ABL? Does the plug look black or does the plug look white?
Hold on one second. Tomorrow, what do you want to say?
The plug probably Chinese or Hispanic.
Wait, I'm saying. Minute tomorrow. What do you want to say real quick?
I think I'm the only former police officer on this panel, or probably any panel. There's a difference between, like, they do this. Okay, so the people who they come in contact with all day, on average, they don't get to do this stuff too. They can't wait to do this stuff against somebody who's black. You want to know why? Because they can get away with it. If they can get away with it with somebody who's 87-year-old grandmother, they would do it. There's a difference between training and the application of force. And for this guy to sit here and try to say that there ain't no way that this stuff happens, like I said, it's go back to the presuppositional argument that everybody's equal and nothing is wrong. This is crazy. I mean, like, there's no way that what you're saying is right.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what did I say? Like, what's your actual argument?
There we go.
But no, what is your argument? Like, what point are you arguing that
you're 100% wrong? Everything that came out of your mouth when you were speaking is wrong. Okay.
Be specific, please, sir.
Okay. Specific. LER movement's point. There is nowhere in America where a black person or white person would get the same sentence for the same crime based on demographics anywhere in the country. And you just kind of that thing away.
How do you know that? How you know that to be true?
I was in law enforcement. It's part of my job to recognize people against court.
You were law enforcement in one region. How you know that to be true for the whole nation?
The Attorney General of the United States, Holder, said it.
Hold on. Let them go ahead. Yeah, y'all get it together.
Ariel Holder, the guy that got caught running guns Mexico, that same person who's not the Attorney General anymore, that same guy.
It got caught running what guns?
Guns to Mexico.
Are you talking about like Iran, like the Iran Contra deal that Reagan and them ran? Are you talking about like that?
Yeah, Operation Fast and Furious. That's what it was called.
Man, Fast and Furious. They sell more illegal guns sitting there at a Texas gun show than what was getting run over there. These guys know, and we know it for a
Oh,
fact.
is that right? You can sell illegals at a
It's
gun
a
show.
fact. Now, ABL, come on, man, come on.
You can sell guns. You can sell guns legally at a gun show.
But you got to
Okay.
come off the coon train now, man.
You
Come on, man.
can.
Coon train. Come on, bro.
There we go. Low IQ argument.
Come on.
Hold up. What he
That's a
means
problem
about
right there.
like you
Too
can
many low
sell
IQ
guns.
individuals.
Where you think
Wait, wait.
Columbine guns came from? Like, come
Hold
on.
on, hold on. What do you mean? I think this is what he means because I live in Texas, but I've known plenty of people who go to gun shows also because I went to them too. If you look like me and you go to a gun show, you can't just give a person cash and not get checked and walk off with anything. But if you look unlike me, you could give a person cash and never get checked and get whatever you want. So there are people who go to gun shows who look white, who may have felonies, who may have charges, who may have pending circumstances. They could just walk there and say, look, I don't want to have the federal check that you got at your counter. I'm going to just give you $500 cash and give me a gun. I've been there. I've seen it happen before. I had to pick up a gun because when you order them online, you got to pick them up at certain spots. I had to get checked 3 times by 2 different managers just to pick up my own gun. While a guy walked in right next to me and just, hey, my name is Bob. I'm white. Give me that gun right there. No problem, buddy. It happens.
Okay.
So but you know what? Blue Lives Matter. My bad, ABL.
All right. I mean, I think I kind of lost the point of like I don't understand where this line of questioning was going from our man in the suit.
Okay, look, let me do this real quick. Let me get control of the panel real quick. Let me just do this, guys. 423 people on the chat. I had another thing that I wanted to actually to bring up. I'll keep it going for the 30 minutes. Shout out to I saw Max City Limits and when Nagona just joined us. Let me do this. We got 417. Y'all will not keep me up all night tonight, man, because I got to get up and do shit. I can't be listening to you niggas all day long. You niggas is long-winded. And you niggas is, I try not to even do these motherfucking shows. I was dealing with the British group yesterday, and them niggas was long-winded. They was talking before the show started. They was talking after the show started. And then we got you African-American Negroes, and y'all are long-winded too. I got shit to do in this motherfucker. So before we do, let me shout out to my brother AM1. ABL, it's covert. It's meant to be confusing and hard to define. Come on, man. Your following relies on you ignoring the truth. Okay. Let me kind of do this. We're gonna start off with Nagone, but this is what I want to know. Okay. Damn, I had the question. Oh, okay. Is it that black people? Do black people want to be helped, in your opinion, man? I mean, I just ask the question because it's something I want to ask. Just put it out there on the table. Are black people just fucking up because they don't give a fuck?
Is that for me?
I know you want to get on it, but let me get to the going. I know
Okay.
what you want to say. Are you happy about that? Well, let's just keep. What's going on with black people, man? Like, are black people failing because they just don't give a fuck? You can't help them. I mean, what David Carroll said. He said some crazy. He had a video about.
I mean,
go ahead.
You're gonna ask me. David Carroll basically thinks that there is a genetic component to some of the problems that we have.
Okay.
He thinks that quite frankly, there's genetics, and some of these Negroes are just genetically so effed up. That's creating a lot of the craziness that you have in the community. I really think, to a large extent, do black people want to be helped? Yeah, but the name of the game, we do have to help ourselves to a large extent. And the reason why we have a hard time helping ourselves is because Negroes, we like to fight too much, man. We have a little bit too much infighting going on. We have not understood the full principle of really coalescing together. And I think that's, when I say coalescing, really meeting up for common interests. And, we can come out and vote for Obama one time and, twice and do a big job there. But as far as us, doing local elections, working in a concerted effort, even with conservatives and we might consider even liberals to work together on a common interest, like education in our schools and so forth. We have a hard time linking up together. And I think that a lot of those reasons come from some of the social impacts that we've had. Our community has been kind of divided, certainly because I think, knowing that if you work together, it's a problem. I mean, when we have worked together in the past, let's take a look at like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you got bombed, people attacked you. You know what I'm saying? They destroyed your communities, literally. So I think from those times on, it's always been a way of just trying to find out if you can't do it physically, then sociologically try to break the community down. And I think that's something that we, of course, you can't stop white folks from doing that. That's something that they're going to try, but we could stop a lot of that. And we can stop a lot of that by just, working smarter. And that's the big problem that we have. So do we really want to help ourselves? I think to some level, to a large extent, we do, but we get in our own way because we do not know how to really coalesce on common interests. We have a difficult time doing that. And that's our problem. And we've seen that also around the world as well. And, that's kind of where we are. So, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I see it.
Oshay, you muted, boss.
Who the
Oshay?
fuck keep calling me on the Google Hangouts? Don't these niggas know I'm live on the show? You niggas, who's this calling me? Why? Oh, I'm sorry. That was Tony. Try to get back on the show. My bad, Tony. I was about to cut you out. I didn't know who that was. Who the fuck is calling me? Okay. Y'all hear this shit? Can y'all hear this calling thing?
Nah.
All right. Let me go to let me go to Mac City Limits, man. Let him weigh on it. Let me send this link to Tony so he can get back on the show. What you got to say, Tony, player? Max
Tony, what's going on to you and the panel here, man? I had to weigh in on this. I'm gonna try and get ABL a little bit of help here. Because I think Man of Tomorrow, he used to be an officer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay. I would like to personally ask him. You know what I mean? Was it easier policing white folks or black folks, in his personal opinion?
Ooh, yeah. Man of Tomorrow.
Well, I was overseas, so I had to police white folks exclusively, and they act no different than black people in large numbers.
You said overseas?
Yeah, no different.
Military police.
We're talking about pulling drunk, officers out of clubs. Is no different than showing up in Denver when I was there for as long as I tried to be there. It was no different than going downtown in Lodo trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
It's just that in the military, you can get away with a lot more of kind of beating the hell out of people than you could kind of U.S. side. And everybody was going to be on your side, and nobody was on your side in a federal sense when you're overseas. But we're talking about people can get away with kind of like the same thing. It isn't the training, it's the application of force, and against who. Because it keeps being the same people of the same complexion who's part of the same type of roughing up. Like you don't see, we had the 87-year-old grandmother last year, but that's just one versus a whole culture of that in the South. So you just can't kind of label it as one specific thing as they only treat white people this way and black people that way. No, they do what they can get away with.
All right. Well, my thing is because, a lot of crew on here know that I did 10 years as a corrections officer in one of the worst prisons in Ohio. And plus, I do have law enforcement friends. And pretty much all my law enforcement friends in Dayton, Ohio, agree that it's far more rougher policing black folks than white folks. And I'm going to just give you, the situation when we talk about how brothers are reared up and everybody keeps talking about how they're raised by black single mothers. This is what I experienced as far as them being very irrational, very over emotional. You know what I mean? If I'm trying to talk to them, I'm trying to suppress a situation. They running around, they taking their shirt off, they yelling, they cursing, they just acting a goddamn fool. They don't want to chill the fuck out. Excuse my language. And as far as me getting with the white boys right now, I'm not saying the white boys wasn't any more dangerous because they were. When the white boys do something to you, you don't really never see it coming. You know what I mean? But with brothers, they bring a lot of stuff on themselves because they just act so out of pocket and so irrational. Look, man, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, you know. And then I was called all sorts of Uncle Toms, and I was called all sorts of house niggas. I'm like, how do we get here? And we have a situation in the cell block. Someone got robbed. You know what I mean? Someone got beat up, and I'm just asking questions. And you run around acting crazy. You know what I mean? At least the white boys would, you know, sit down, listen, basically try and, you know, be cooperative or whatever, man. That don't necessarily mean that wouldn't shank you. You know what I mean?
That's not true. That's not true, man. I also did a year in the Supermax in Florence.
Okay.
Dude, come on, man. There ain't no way you can say that's true.
Wait, what's not true? What's not true?
How people treat law enforcement authority. I can guarantee you can go and Google 100 YouTube videos of people getting way out of pocket and not getting shot by the police.
But he actually experienced it for 10
versus
years.
if they're black.
So why would he Google something he experienced with his own 2 eyes in life?
Can I ask some questions real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just hypothetically. Like, I will agree, bro. There are brothers who get completely out of line, belligerent, talk crazy. Are brothers known for walking around like with knives in front of the cops like ain't no problem, or was that white dudes?
That's white dudes.
Are brothers known for being able to reach for a gun and just walk up and down and have standoff with cops, or white dudes?
White dudes.
Bats, crowbars, fucking, you know, 2x4s. Is that black dudes or white dudes?
Shoot, white dudes get away with all that. But what I'm trying to tell you is,
my bike is still bouncing on the ground, by the way.
But at the same time, if any black, as belligerent as we could be, how long would we last if we walked around with a knife, a gun, a 2x4, a bat, a crowbar, even a cell phone? Motherfucker got shot for having a sandwich. So, like, I think it's perception sometimes, because do we talk shit? Yes, we talk shit. But can we talk shit with a gun in our hand? Like, bitch, you ain't gonna tell me nothing. No, we can't. Can we talk shit with a Rambo knife and calm down, my brother? No. Is there when you flip it around with racially, could a black officer see a white dude with a knife, gun, bat, and say, I was in fear for my life, so I shot that motherfucker. No big deal. No. It doesn't work that way.
Hey, could I bring something up real quick?
Go ahead.
Can I mention something real quick? I was driving home from my gym. This was, maybe about 2 months ago. Had my baseball cap turned on backwards. Now I'm a grown ass man. I ain't no little gangster little kid. I'm a big dude, 6'1", 265. In the gym, getting live as fuck. But anyway, I'm coming home. I'm in my caddy, and police officer comes over and just pulls me over. And I look at him. I said, officer, why are you pulling me over? Well, he's looking in and out of my car. He's looking at me. And now, mind you, the caddy that I'm driving is, it's a STS, 2017. Nice car, but it's by no means unusual. A lot of the people have nice cars. Pulls me over and he starts to question me. I'm saying, okay, officer, you pulling me over for what? He's like, well, you may have gone through. I said, officer, I got a brand new car. I'm not trying to go through anything. I'm not trying to get T-boned out here. You know how that goes. And he's like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. So I pull out my license and registration. He sees me pull out my stuff. He looks in the car, looks at me. He just walks back to his car and drives off.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I sat there and looked at him. I said,
and you don't have constitutional rights. And when they pull you over, they don't need a reason to pull you over. They're looking for a reason to pull you over based off the questions that you answer. Like, you don't understand this, but it's just that they don't have a reason to pull you over. Every time they pull you over, they don't have a reason. They don't need a reason. Since 9/11, they don't need a reason. And anytime you do that guy can pull out his gun and wait till you flinch and boom, period.
And bless me. I understand that. Okay.
You didn't die. Everything is good.
But quite frankly, I'm in a mostly white neighborhood. He's pulled me over. So I said, so I'm sitting there saying, damn. I says, why is this guy pulling my ass over? So, but then as I've been driving back and forth to the gym, I see other cars, nice people. They ain't pulling nobody over, but I see periodically they pulling over black people. Now, I'm not making a big deal over it because, he hasn't pulled me over, he hasn't pulled me over since. But one thing I have seen is that, that this is something that they'll do. Now, do I consider that racism or white supremacy? I consider that a little bit more prejudiced, because they're in a position where they can do something, like that. That makes you a little nervous because you can get killed if something like that goes wrong. But why should I, who does not do any crime, grown man, all right, drive around, does nothing wrong, college educated, the whole game, live in a big crib, all the live, I got all the live shit, and I'm getting pulled over like
but they don't check any of that before they decide to violate your rights.
Like I'm a comment. No.
They don't decide.
What he did was he saw a nigga in the car with his hat backwards and decided to pull me over. So I looked at that and I thought it was strange. Then one of my boys, who's in the gym, because I work out with a lot of cops, and there are a lot of cops, and I said, yeah, this one guy pulled me over. And he goes, yeah, he says, this one brother, this is a brother who I've known, I actually knew his father. He was like, yeah, they do that shit. And he just kind of put his head down like, yeah, they do that shit. Like, the kind of thing was like, yeah, they fucking with brothers. This is what they do. He like admitted it. Just admitted it. Police officer himself. And I know some guys will be like, but that's a part of what we do.
But there's a political party who
I don't complain and cry about it. I don't complain and cry about it because I'm not a criminal and I don't do anything illegal. Thank you, Lord, because I'm sure if I was doing illegal shit, I wouldn't be able to do it for long.
Okay.
But I just bring up a little vignette like that. That's all.
Well, we know why they do that.
Go ahead, Maxity, and then we're gonna go to Super Ghana Dan Super Sly. Because guys, listen, there's people who have been talking for like 30, 40 minutes. So you niggas gotta make your points, and let's because I got like 20 minutes, so we gotta get everybody else. Let people talk. All right, so let's go ahead to who's that? Go ahead, Maxity, finish your point. Minute tomorrow, I'm gonna go to Ghana Dan and then Super Sly. Go ahead.
Actually, I wanted to defer that to Tony because Tony can break down that perfectly why they're doing that. Of course, goes back to them protecting the so-called property values or whatnot, man. You know, because Tony, he knows the ins and outs of that perfectly.
Okay.
But I don't have nothing to say.
Okay, let's do this. We'll go to Ghana Dan and to Tony. Ghana Dan, anything you want to? Where's Ghana Dan at? Ghana Dan. The white man got his foot on Ghana Dan's neck.
Yeah, he on mute.
Hotep. Ghana Dan.
He on mute.
Okay, was while the white man.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm here.
The white man had you, brother. He came to Ghana and got you. Go ahead, Ghana.
Man, it's so many layers to this. It's layers upon layers. There's no escaping it. It takes surgical precision. You can't be one-dimensional about this this understanding and seeing what's going on. I mean, you can't dismiss all the experience like Max City Limits. He got 10 years and what he's seen, but it can't be dismissed what Nagon just spoke on and what Man Tomorrow's experience. At the end of the day, what are we going to do about it as men? These situations have been existing since the vagrancy laws right after during the Reconstruction. Black men was getting picked up and thrown right back into slavery, and disconnected from their families because of bullshit laws. So I'm at the point right now, I'm looking forward to hearing what other people are going to say, but what are we going to do about it? How can we put together some things for our economic strength? There's enough brilliance on this panel and within this network already, because, right now we just pretty much going over, we're overstating the obvious, the elephant in the room, that there is white supremacy in history, but it's not holding a lot of people back. A lot of people holding themselves back today. And, we have information right now. There's so much information out right now that people are choosing not to research so they can use whatever information to their advantage.
No, I agree. Who's that saying something? Is that ABL?
That was me. Yes.
What were you saying, ABL? Go ahead, make your point.
I was just saying that I don't want to hear nobody's sob story for real, man. I really don't care about nobody getting pulled over. I mean, didn't nobody get shot? Didn't nobody get tased?
Of course you don't.
I'm just tired of hearing stories I'm tired of hearing the sob stories. I'm tired of grown black men crying, acting like living in fear. We need to just look forward to the future. That's the main thing. People want solutions, but we keep going back to the past, talking about Jim Crow, talking about redlining, all this and that and the third. But nobody really wants to just look at where we're at right now and see ways that we can help ourselves in the current moment. If you got kids, don't allow your kids just to be outside dancing, twerking, playing basketball or whatever. You know, sit them down in front of a book. You know, give them some education before they go to school. Don't rely totally upon the white man. See, it's a weird kind of conundrum that many, not all, but many Black Americans find themselves in. On one hand, we say white supremacy, racism, all this, that, and the third. On the other hand, we say, well, the white man should give me education. He should give me a job. He should give me a good place to live. He should provide nice security. You want to rely upon the white man for everything in your life, but then at the same time, blame him for everything that's going wrong in your life. How about just taking responsibility for yourself and manifesting your own destiny? That should be what we focused on. We shouldn't be focused on this specter that don't even really exist, this fake thing that everybody wants to use as a cop-out and an excuse. I'm tired of hearing about it. Really is getting old, honestly, because I never had that kind of mentality. That's why I don't live in fear. I'm not worried about having my moment where somebody going to shoot me. I don't live life in fear like that. I just make proper choices, sound decisions, and that's how I go about living. I think that is what Black men should do. A lot of the problems we face are self-inflicted. I mean, look, you got the child support situation. You got guys that are losing their shirt, going to the penitentiary and all that over child support. Whose choice was it to have a baby and not really know who the mother is? Not all the time. Sometimes you married or whatever, but we know what time it is. A baby gets produced. You didn't want it to happen. There was an accident. Now you were in child support court and you're getting locked up for it. How many Black men go to the penitentiary based upon choices that they made at a young age that were the wrong choices? And a lot of that comes from not having the proper grooming from the house. It's very simple. People want to blame school. They want to blame the white man. They want to blame everything. They want to blame all kind of things that don't really exist, rather than things that they can control themselves. It's really getting old.
One at a time, everybody. Come on. You niggas get it together. Okay, ABL, hold on. Look, it's 1:41, okay? I gotta go. I'm tired of niggas, and it's late. I got shit to do tomorrow. I will do a part 2. You niggas are all too long-winded. All 30 of y'all. It's only like 6 of y'all. All of y'all long-winded than a motherfucker. I love you niggas, but I got to get the fuck up out of here. So we're going to go ahead and do this. But hold on. Listen. Oshay, can you ask my question? Yes, I can. Hold on. Just very quickly, players.
Who's that?
Okay. Let me shout out super chats. Deep in thoughts. A lot of times you can't get above that ABL no matter your status at times. It's your image of being Black. Vanity Star. Shout out to my brother out of Buffalo, man. I want to get him in these panels, man. Deep in, man. Email me, man. You know I want to get you on. We did a show with him on my main channel. Shout out to my brother. Their favorite line is "Your taillight is out." I've been pulled over like that in my caddy. I got pulled over and robbed by some Black police officers in South Africa, though. I told that story, man. Niggas got about $90. Shout out to Trap Star Bango. Good ass topic, but I have been pulled over by white folks for no reason. It had the guns drawn on me for no reason because I had these glasses on, like Max City Limits called them, the incel shades. ABL, you are losing me today, but I'm subscribed to you. Okay, quickly, ABL, why is the opioid crisis looking like a public crisis when Blacks were punished for the crack era? ABL, is that night white supremacy?
Okay, that's a good question. I can ask a question.
Go ahead.
I can ask this question a lot. Now, the whole thing with the opioid crisis is the public health issue that comes as a result. The violence that was going on back in the 80s during the crack epidemic is not there. During the 80s, the more pressing issue was the violence because you had more deaths from the violence than the actual drug itself. Now it's more deaths from the drug itself. So you got to put your focus where the bodies are dropping. Now it's from the drugs themselves, but back then it was from the violence. That's why you had to have all these laws that came into effect to reduce the violence. And the violence did drop after those laws were implemented. Nobody can say that I'm lying. You can look up the numbers, look at Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, etc. Chicago had 1,000 deaths per year during the late 80s, early 90s because of the crack era. When the laws came into effect, those numbers,
cowboy hat, nigga. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When the laws came into effect, those numbers gradually just went down and down and down and down. It's never gone back up to the way it was back then because all these dope boys who were out there shooting and killing each other, shooting old ladies, little kids, or whatever, sleeping in their beds from drive-by shootings, all that kind of stuff. Those guys got locked up in the penitentiary, so they were not able to terrorize the community anymore.
Well, you talking about Chicago?
These people right now with the opioid crisis, they're not going through all the gang violence and stuff like that, selling it to each other. The problem with the opioid crisis is the deaths that come from the drug use, which is why it's treated as a public health issue and not a violence issue. Because, like I said, the bodies are coming from the drug overdoses and not the violence, the way it was back in the 80s.
Okay, so
let's talk about Chicago specifically. Let's talk about
last point, and then we're gonna close it down. All right, I'm tired.
Okay, I'm gonna say something.
Nigga, quick, nigga, gotta go. My stomach hurt. I gotta take a shit. Go ahead.
The heroin epidemic. The heroin epidemic is personal responsibility. ABL. Okay, these people shouldn't be shooting this shit up into their body. That's their fault. They went out and bought that shit like McDonald's Big Macs. They shot that shit up.
Yeah,
now, if Ray Charles could be a heroin addict and it's his fault, these white folks, heroin addicts is no deal, it's their fault. It's personal responsibility.
You're right.
Okay? They come up in these nice 2-parent households, middle class, and they out in the street buying all this dope because they're so oppressed by their privilege. They have no reason to be getting high.
Nah, anybody that want to get geeked up, that's on them. That's their fault. So what's your point?
Okay, but listen, guys, listen. I really love y'all. Look, I can't let y'all keep me up all night because y'all niggas, if I keep going, this shit will go for like 5 hours. So, and the money coming in too. I thank y'all, man. But y'all, listen, don't donate and ask no more questions because I'm not gonna ask him. If you donate any more money on the super chat, I'm just gonna keep your shit. I'll refund your shit back because I'm not gonna ask the question. All right. I want to thank everybody for a good show, man. You know what I'm saying? Usually I will run it a little bit longer, but obviously I have a oral exam on Thursday, and I gotta be able to get up. I have a hard time getting up, like, you know what I'm saying, because these late ass shows. I've been drinking coffee all day. Tomorrow we're gonna have the Dame Dash show. The Dame Dash. What's the little dude that he tried to check? Leo. What's his name? Daniels. What's his name?
Lee Daniels.
Lee Daniels. Right. We're gonna have that show. It's gonna be popping tomorrow. Right. So whoever want to get on that show, I'll keep it as long as y'all want. You know what I'm saying? Who want in on that? I know Super Sly do. Okay, so guys, listen, man. Thank everybody for coming on. We have more than 10 brothers tonight. Lee Daniels versus, and loaning money to niggas. We're gonna be talking about that tomorrow. It's gonna be crazy. Part 2 of this, please, nigga, do it on your channel, okay? Because nigga, I ain't got time. Iron 5. You start a YouTube channel, nigga, and you have 10 loud talking black men that want to get in and cutting everybody off. You do that, all right? No, but I think all you brothers, man, y'all are brilliant, man. Y'all know I love you, man, for like a play cousin. So let's start off with Tony Maceo. We kind of work our way a bit to ABL. Let everybody know your last comments and all that shit, man. And I got to get my black ass out of here, man. The white man got his foot on my neck. Go ahead, brother Tony. He left. Tony, come back, man. Say your last shit. You can't just leave, man.
Say come back.
How you gonna get up out of here, man? Go ahead, Nicole, man. Let everybody know what's up, player. Last words.
Who's next?
Nicole? Yeah, go ahead.
All right, man. All right. Yeah, we need a little more time on this, man, because I really want to sit back and systematically debunk ABL, because a lot of some of the very typical right wing talking points. I think.
Say last words, boss. You almost out of here.
That I see, and the shaming tactics that he uses.
Say last words. Stop trying to get your absolute elixir.
Very funny. But anyway, like I said, I'll tear you out the frame. We get enough time. But anyhow, let me just say this.
Oh, I'll give you one-on-one.
Yo, Oshay, you the man, boss. You the man, boss.
I'm trying to get like you, man. You need your own channel. Shout out to Brother Nagone, man. You know what I'm saying? He like to get in there, man. He good, man, on these shows, brother. I appreciate you, man. Man, tomorrow, man, you been coming. Hey, brother, last month, man, something has jumped into you, man. The nigga is really showing, man. That Pookie, man, is coming out that suit, nigga.
Yeah, man. You catch me Sundays on Black Congregation. You can join the Facebook page, Black Congregation Men's Only. That's where me and Joe from Black Male Talk, we do a show every Sunday, and throughout the week I'm frequently on the show. So that's where you'll find me at, and it was a good talk for everybody. So,
hey man, we still got to do that show, man. It's my big bro, man. I'm always available. First priority, man. He'd be like, "Hey, I want to do a show right now." I'm like, "Fuck, let's do it." All right, but shout out to man tomorrow, man. He really do love the brothers, man. He have his different opinions, man. But he love black men, and he don't give a fuck. He just really wants to see black men do better. He been always wanting to see brothers do better, man. That's why he's really, really committed to this and keeping it going. And shout out to him for that. Shout out to my brother Max City, man. I you know, I'm tired of you talking shit about my accessories, brother. But I know you a little kung fu trainer, whatever the fuck you had on your videos, nigga. I sneak up behind you with a brick, nigga.
That's okay. What's up, man? Yeah, hey, check it out, man. The school to prison pipeline is real. Speaking as a man that did the foster care and worked in the prison, I can see how the system is enabling the children to just be the worst sort of miscreants possible, so they can have an excuse to lock them up and make money off of them. And I understand that, you know, it is a raw deal, and that white officers, they are going to show deference and they're going to show favor to their own tribe. We need to get over that. That's naturally going to happen. But also, in my personal opinion, I've seen a lot of brothers, man, bring a lot of silly shit on themselves, escalated a lot of shit that didn't need to be escalated when everything was cool in the game. You know what I mean? So with that being said, once again, going back to what ABL saying, you know, we got to have some self-regulation and some self-responsibility. And we got to understand that, you know, a lot of it, you know, 95% of it, man, is on us. You know what I mean? So if there's ain't no silly shit going on, man, don't escalate it. Don't try and you know, like I said, just be cool in the game, man. Just be rational with what you're doing, man. So yeah, this is Big Mike, the Fat Maxter, the Almighty Triple XL, coming at you live and direct from Max City Limits Radio Show. And giving shout outs to my partner, man, Tony Maceo at powerandstrategy.com. I'd like to thank all the brothers on the panel for having me on. Peace.
Hey, and shout out, that's my favorite podcast, man. I sent you a email today. I don't know if you got it, but shout out to my brother Max City. It's my favorite podcast. I got hooked on them niggas, man, when I was out in Uganda, Kampala last year. It's the best podcast in Black YouTube. Second to the Brother Peel. I mean, they're above us. I ain't gonna lie. It's better than the Brother Peel. I thought the Brother Peel was good, but that actually is a. I've always said it's a better show than the Brother Peel. You know, I love that show, but they're good, man. I can't front. Max City Limits Radio Show. The motherfuckers is good, man. They're a dynamic duo. I don't think anybody can beat them. That's just really what it is. I sent them niggas on the war editor's choice. Can't nobody fuck with them. Only thing they need is like some real professional mics and shit. If they had that,
hey, that's Tony's fault.
Yeah, and y'all niggas on rotary phones doing the podcast, but if y'all niggas get some real mics, nigga.
Yeah, but stop clowning my phone. Now y'all like to cut that out.
Them niggas is the best. Them niggas is the best podcast, man. Just flat out, can't nobody fuck with them. And that's saying a lot because I think I'm good. I know I'm good, and them motherfuckers is better than me. So that's, and you know, me and LAR ain't no punk. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that they got us. But we gonna come back for you niggas in 2020. LAR, man, let them know what's going on, pimpin'.
Man, just follow me at LAR Movement. And next week, I'll probably be bullying ABL on this panel to give him that work one good time.
I'll do it again next week. I'll send out. The Spill was here. Sinful to P is here. New possibilities. I will send out. I will do a part 2 if ABL want to come back. We'll do a part 2. It depends on him.
Let's do it.
Boy, ABL ain't no punk, man.
No, he ain't no punk. Yeah. That's the thing. He coming to enemy territories. He can't be really enemy territories because he won the Negro Manosphere best political channel by a lot. He won by like 80 votes. So yeah. It ain't really enemy territories for him. It's like home field advantage in a way. Shout out to Super Slider, Great Black Shark.
Yeah, just I'm always happy to be here. And I fucked with you, Oshay. Tough. But at the end of the day, black folks don't want to get free. They don't want solutions. They don't want to invest in their own freedom. There's too many of us that love white inclusion, white validation. It's a joke. Even almost to a point, continue to have these discussions because you got too many people that don't want to get free. You got too many black gatekeepers that have vested interest in keeping us divided like so. And on top of that, all the solutions everybody mentioned, you didn't mention a military force. So unless we all willing to pick up arms to defend ourselves to that degree, to go to war with these people, it's not gonna happen. That's my 2 cents. I'm out.
Hold on, he said some shit at the end. Why didn't you say this at the beginning, dog? We could have.
My bad. I'm sorry.
That's part 2.
Part 2. Yes,
he did some Marvel movie shit. Like, you know how they show you the sequel, like before the next one come out, the shit that started at the end,
at the credits and shit.
This nigga doing the Marvel shit. Okay, that's my boy, man. Super Slide, man. You know, like y'all gotta check out his latest video he did about this dude that got murdered in Toronto, bro. Like, no empathy at all, bro. Like, yeah, man got shot. That's it for the video. Peace. So shout out to my brother, man. I love his content, man, and he just don't give a fuck. Like seriously, he don't care if you don't like it. And ABL don't give a fuck either. Obviously, that's why he's here. ABL, man, I gotta say, bro, you one hell of a dude. We're gonna go to Tony Maceo last, but bro, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm a big fan of your channel, man. You know, I give you a lot of bullshit over here, bro, but you be doing your thing, man. I can't front. You doing your thing outside of YouTube. Regardless of what people saying, you and Tatum, y'all my buddies, man. Why wasn't I invited? I want to know, as a black conservative brother, Hotep, why wasn't Oshay invited to this black conservative meetup, brother? I just want to know, because I am also a black influencer, brother, with black people for the conservative movement, brother. Why was I not invited, player?
Hey, I don't know nothing, man. I was not involved.
Oh, so you don't know, nigga? None of y'all got more black fans than me. I'm Hotep. I'm nigga fried chicken grease, man. Y'all niggas need me.
I don't know nothing, man. Hey, hopefully you can make it to the States and come to the next things we got coming up.
Ain't none. I was looking, man. I'm like, look, I know y'all got big fans, but none of y'all got more Negroes than me, man. I'm the biggest Negro influencer, black community. I mean, listen, man, I got all kind of Negroes, man. They love me, man. Y'all need me. Tell whoever had that. Bring Oshay to the motherfucker. Just have me come through there, man. I bring the collard green sandwiches and that thing, man. Look, you know, I'll be telling jokes and shit. It's all good, man. But I like what you're doing, man. Look, y'all niggas need to have me out there next time, man. Tell Brandon I'm gonna call Brandon, man, because he had all the people. And you bet Brandon over here on my channel, huh?
That's right. Yeah. Shout out to you, man. And you made it happen. You made it happen because
Brandon ass out.
Now you made it happen because I think Brandon got my number from you, so that's how we were able to communicate and get things going. So you made it happen, man. So I appreciate it.
I made it happen over here in the hood. I can't even get invited to the shit, man. Okay, I guess I'm a little bit too hood for the. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you, Trump, you're gonna need somebody like me, player. So you know, eventually, you're gonna have to let me come up there and preach at your next inauguration, brother. I'm let Reverend Oshay. I'm a hoop and holler nigga, all up in that thing. But go ahead, man. Let them know where they can follow you at, man. You're doing some great things, man. Let them know where they can find you and all that stuff.
Yeah, you guys can go to my website, anthonyblogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter B, LOGAN. Everything is on there. Merchandise. You can follow me. Facebook. I'm on Instagram now, matter of fact, because Brandon and them, they wanted me to get on Instagram. So I'm on there. Instagram.com/AnthonyBLogan. Twitter.com/AnthonyBLogan, and Facebook is Facebook.com/1776 Logan. Yes, I did say 1776. Don't nobody get triggered, but I think that's all I got. I'm out.
Now, y'all did hear that, right? Y'all heard that. Brandon Tatum met Anthony Brian Logan over here in the hood. On Negro Manosphere territories. Okay, they forgot about me. That's all good. Brandon Tatum, my boy, I love what you brothers are doing, man. Y'all doing some great things with this conservative thing, you know what I'm saying? And now they over there rubbing shoulders to Candace Owens and stuff, man. Ain't nobody, nobody gave her my number or nothing like that, you know, because she is. I know because she is fine. I'm just saying. Give me 3 minutes, even before. But I ain't trying to get in trouble now. You know, you're drinking milk. Go ahead, brother Tony, man. Why they want to invite me, man? Am I too Negro-fied or what's going on, man? Let me know what's going on. Why can't Oshay get over there, man? What's going on with me, man?
Well, it's the one nigga at a time quota. They can't have too many niggas. You know, they can't have too many niggas there. See, they think you're taking over. See, if it's what did Sotomayor say? If it's more than 3, that's where I won't be. Oh. See, him and Tatum was enough. ABL and Tatum was enough.
Nah, we had 15 black folks at the retreat.
It was a black influencer, man, a conservative man. Okay. You can't find them a bigger. Well, probably Tommy Sotomayor, you know. But I'm saying, like, for real.
Yeah, they reached their quota. They reached their nigga quota, you know. So
I'm too nigga.
Gonna have to petition.
Like hell no.
You're gonna have to petition again next year. Try again next year.
Okay, we're gonna have.
All right.
Go ahead, Larry. No, where you can find you at, Pimpin'.
You can find me over there with my brother, the Fat Mac, at Mac City Limits radio show on YouTube. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, Power and Strategy. I'm also on Facebook, Power and Strategy. My website, powerandstrategy.com, where I write about economics, history, and of course, my favorite subject, power. So that's where you can find me. And if you want to hit me up, I'm at wayofstrategy44@gmail.com. My articles can also be seen every Tuesday on the Negro Manosphere.
Tell them about the new ebook, man. That I you charged me an arm and a leg. I had to sell my kneecap for it, man. But you finished the final edits, man. On this new ebook that we gonna have for the brothers. We ain't charging nobody for it. But let's just talk about that briefly about this new ebook that it's your first ebook, but that you're putting out, man.
Well, the new ebook I have is called The Coup, Taking Over Your Neighborhood, How to Take Over Your Neighborhood, not how to take back, but take over your neighborhood. That's coming out here very shortly. I have some rough edits to finish and to clean up my interviews, and then we'll be ready to post it. And so that's what we got going on. The Coup, How to Take Over Your Community.
All right, y'all. And I want to thank all you brothers, man, because this is going to be our fourth ebook project in, I think, the last 16 months. And we have, for those of you who want the free ebooks, just we have 3 ebooks and a comic, right? All free. It's gonna be our fourth one. You know what I'm saying? It'll come out to the Patreons first, but it will eventually become free. We don't charge, right? This is a community thing for these things. We just want to help our brothers, do better. So if you want any of our free ebooks for the Negro Manosphere, man, they're really good. Just email me, planetoshay@gmail.com. We'll give you all our materials, man, and check that out. I want to thank everybody for coming on, man. You brothers are brilliant, man. Tomorrow, the Dame Dash against Lee Daniels show. Borrowing money, lending money. I know my man Super Saigon Meal here. He will be chasing for heads. If you want to get in on that show, just email me. It'll be around, I would say, about 10 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5. No, I'll do it around the same time tomorrow when y'all get off work. But again, y'all can't be keeping me up all day at night. All right. So thank you, brothers. Anybody got anything else they want to say before we get up out of here? Hotep, nobody?
All I got, man. Y'all have a good night.
Peace, Hotep, and I'm gonna call Brandon tonight, man, because I'm post 2019 player.
We out.
I think I'm too Negro-fied, man. They gotta let me up in there, man. What's going on? Peace.